Chapter 53:16. Greetings, Lord Lin Wudi. Ziyu said with a careful expression. He was really too scared. This was the supreme existence who killed the Double Crown King. He was a supreme demon king. If not for Madame Purple Star being here, he would have been scared to tears. Lin Xian nodded slightly at him and greeted him. Then he looked at Madame Purple Star and said, "It seems that there have been a lot of changes in the past 3 years. Because you stayed by my side, you caused your family to suffer such losses. Let's go, we'll go to the 9-star Immortal platform now. I'll get justice for you." "Thank you, young master." Madame Purple Star was overjoyed. Ziyu was also surprised. Lin Wudi wasn't the legendary demon. He felt that he was easy to get along with. He said, "Young Master Lin, I'll lead the way." The group walked forward again. The 9-star Immortal platform was also extremely vast. There were many palaces and pavilions inside, and they were divided into many mansions that represented different forces. There were a total of 3 forces in the 9-star Immortal platform. Qin Mu, the 9-star princess, and Madame Purple Star were the young geniuses of these 3 forces. The previous palace master was an expert from the 9-star palace masters faction. Therefore, the 9-star palace masters faction was the strongest. However, this palace master was killed by Lin Xian. Therefore, the 9-star palace masters faction gradually declined. Qin Mu's faction received the support of the Sky Snake clan and instantly became stronger. In addition, their faction became the new palace master, so they were now at the peak of their power. They began to suppress Madame Purple Star's faction and even wanted to devour them. The Sky Snake clan was nothing to be afraid of. Lin Xian sneered after hearing this. The previous Kai Lingi was no match for him at all. Now that his cultivation had broken through, his strength had increased greatly. The other party was even more no match for him. The group returned and went to Madame Purple Star's mansion. After entering, they found that the mansion was much more dilapidated, and there weren't many people inside. They didn't know if they were captured or suppressed. After Ziyu returned, just as he entered the courtyard, someone sneered. "You still know to come back. Have you thought it through and decided to give us the array formation jade pendant? If you knew this would happen, you wouldn't have done it back then. Hurry up and kneel down and hand over the jade pendant." A few figures walked out from the main hall in front of him with sneers on their faces. They were all from Qin Mu's line. One of them was an expert from the Heavenly Serpent clan. The corners of his mouth curled up as he sat there, coldly paying attention to her. Zixing's little face turned pale and he clenched his fists. These people had gone too far. At this moment, Zixing also walked out from behind and said coldly, "You bunch of trash dare to behave atrociously in our mansion? Who gave you the courage? Kneel and accept your death." Hearing this, the saints at the front were stunned. They looked ahead and discovered that it was a black-robed man. Their expressions immediately darkened. "Who do you think you are? How dare you scold us? You are courting death. Do you believe that I'll make you wish you were dead? Ziyu, where did you get this reinforcements from? Just these 2 people dare to go against us? I think you're courting death." Among them, a middle-aged man stretched out a large hand to grab Ziyu, wanting to cripple him. Boom. At this moment, a galaxy saber light chopped off the huge hand. The middle-aged man screamed. Blood dripped from his palm and his expression became ferocious. "How dare you hurt me, man?" With a command, countless figures appeared in the surroundings. They were murderous and sealed off the entire area. "I'll make them wish they were dead." "Wish they were dead?" Zixing sneered. Do you have the ability?" He took off his black robe again, revealing his true face. The pupils of the surrounding people constricted when they saw this scene. "What? You're not dead?" The middle-aged man was so frightened that he almost knelt on the ground because the other party was Zixing. Back then, he was one of the 3 top prodigies with a 9-form immortal foundation. How could he not know him? "Didn't you die in the battle 3 years ago? How could you still be alive?" His expression became terrified. The others also sucked in a breath of cold air. "I'm dead? Who told you that I'm dead? If I'm dead, you can make a move on the people of our lineage?" An extremely terrifying killing intent erupted from Zixing's eyes. He snorted coldly and slashed forward with his saber. The galaxy saber light turned into the Milky Way and swept across the air. "Oh!" The middle-aged man roared crazily and he quickly dodged. He was no match for Zixing at all. However, he was still too slow and the saber cut him in half. His body and soul were destroyed. He fell into a pool of blood. The surrounding people were shocked. Zixing was too powerful. He was a young powerhouse. He was not someone they could contend against at all. After Zixing killed the middle-aged man, he looked forward again. He stared at the powerhouse of the Sky Snake clan who was sitting there. he said coldly. That's my seat. Who allowed you to sit there? Get down here. The powerhouse of the Sky Snake clan also opened his eyes. There was a cold green light in his eyes as he stared straight ahead. You're not dead. He was extremely surprised. But soon he sneered. So what? Now that the situation is over, you can no longer make a comeback. Zixing snorted coldly. A mere Sky Snake clan dares to say that the situation is over? I'll kill you today. The silver saber light slashed down again. The powerhouse of the Sky Snake clan was furious. He slapped out with his palm. His palm turned into thousands of sky snakes that danced between heaven and earth. Every slash carried an extremely powerful law. It was incomparably terrifying. The palm was like 1,000 snakes sweeping across. It was terrifying to the extreme. Boom. The two collided and the entire void was completely shattered. However, at this moment Zixing attacked again. He formed a seal with his palm, and his right hand turned into a dazzling star that pierced through heaven and earth. It directly pierced through the other party's body. The powerhouse of the Sky Snake clan spat out blood and flew backward. He was severely injured. How is that possible? How can you be so strong? Zixing sneered. If you were Kaling Yi, I might have fought with all my strength. But with just you, do you think you can contend against me? Go to hell. He formed a seal with his palm again, and like a meteorite falling, he smashed the other party into pieces. Dead. The surrounding people were shocked. A powerhouse of the Sky Snake clan had fallen? Zixing roared at the sky, Qinmu, get out here. He knew that all of this was done by Qinmu and he had to kill him. A terrifying voice spread in all directions. In an instant, more than half of the 9-star immortal platforms heard it. Countless people were shocked. The people of Qinmu's clan were instantly enraged. Who was it? Who dared to scold our highness? Do you want to die? I want to see who is so daring. Killing intent appeared one after another. The current Qinmu had become the young master of the 9-star immortal platforms and would become the new palace master in the future. Such a person's identity was extraordinary. He was even more terrifying than the 9-star princess. No one dared to provoke him. But now someone dared to challenge him. They couldn't bear it. The people of the 9-star palace master's clan were also shocked. Who was it? Chapter 53:17. It seemed to be Purple Star's aura. No way? Isn't he dead? He's still alive. And he's back. Cries of surprise rang out one after another. In an instant, many people flew towards the mansion. They saw Purple Star standing in midair with starlight surrounding his body. Heavens, it's really him. He's still alive. In addition, those from Purple Star's faction were all excited. Great, our young prodigy is still alive. As long as Purple Star was still alive, there was hope for their faction. Those from the 9-star Palace Master's faction also took a deep breath. It seemed that the situation had changed. If Purple Star and the 9-star Princess joined forces, they might be able to turn the tables. However, at this moment, an old man next to the 9-star Princess sighed. Even if they could defeat Qinmu together, they still had the Heavenly Snake clan behind them. Countless people from Purple Star's faction quickly gathered. They were all from their faction. Xing, you're back. It's great. Xing, avenge us. Someone clenched his fists and said. There were also some old men who sighed. No, they're too powerful. Xing, you'd better leave. As long as you're alive, there's hope for us. Don't worry, everyone. I'm here to save you today. Purple Star said. The other old men shook their heads and sighed. You don't know. It's not just Qinmu. He has the Heavenly Snake clan behind him, and there are even a few terrifying clans and sections. They're all secretly making a move. You're no match for them. At this point, they sighed heavily. Zisu, who was next to them, was full of anticipation. He had thought the same before, but now he had changed his mind. He looked at the black-robed man standing behind him who had been silent all this time. As long as this person was here, no matter who the enemy was, everything could be resolved. Purple Star looked into the distance and shouted angrily, Qinmu, are you still not going to come out? In the distance, in the endless palaces, rumbling sounds could be heard. Terrifying starlight pierced through heaven and earth. Then, a man clad in battle armor soared into the sky like a god of war. He had an extraordinary aura about him. Purple Star, you're still alive. What a surprise. But so what? I'll personally send you to hell today. As he spoke, he waved his hand, and his spear swept out like a dragon swinging its tail in the air. He directly charged towards Purple Star. Purple Star unleashed a terrifying star river palm. Her two palms transformed into 2-star rivers and shot out. The two collided with each other, causing an earth-shattering sound to ring out. Then they both dissipated. You're just SOSO. You want to kill me? Just a little bit more. Purple Star's eyes erupted with an extremely terrifying light. He pulled out the Milky Way saber light and slashed out, shattering heaven and earth. This slash caused the expressions of the surrounding people to change. Even Qinmu's pupils constricted. He realized that his opponent's saber technique was even more terrifying than before. His face was gloomy. He pulled out a long spear, held it with both hands and thrust it out. With a clang, it was shaken to the point that its chi and blood were in turmoil. At this time another blade slashed out. It was as heavy as a mountain, shattering the void. The two of them fought fiercely. The surrounding people were all watching nervously. I wonder who will win and who will lose in this battle? Xinger, you can't lose. The people of the Purple Star bloodline were extremely nervous. The 9-star palace master and the others were also shocked. Had Purple Star's saber techniques become so terrifying in the past 3 years? In the sky, Qinmu's face was also extremely gloomy. Although he was already familiar with his opponent's saber technique, the power contained in it was unimaginable. It caused his chi and blood to churn more and more. In the end, he spat out a mouthful of blood and was sent flying. He was injured. Everyone was in an uproar. They did not expect Qinmu to be injured. The people of the Purple Star bloodline all cheered. The people on the 9-star princess side were also shocked. She said that Purple Star had become even more powerful than 3 years ago. Purple Star held the long saber in his hand and pointed it forward. You're no match for me at all. Kid, don't be so arrogant. Do you think I haven't improved in the past 3 years? I was just careless just now. Qinmu roared angrily. The next moment he roared into the sky, and a starry sky chart appeared on his back. The starry sky chart kept spinning and sweeping, sealing the world in all directions. At this moment, everyone felt a sense of horror. 10 extremity starry sky chart. He had actually mastered such a divine ability? Many people were shocked. The 9-star princess pupils also shrank. Damn it, Qinmu had been hiding his strength before. Not good. Xing, or run. The faces of those from the Purple Star faction also became extremely ugly. Because the 10 extremity starry sky chart was an extremely terrifying technique on the 9-star immortal platform. However, it was extremely difficult to master. Many people had tried to cultivate it in the past, but they had all failed. Not only that, some people had even died. One could imagine how domineering this divine ability was. They did not expect Qinmu to have mastered it. Even Ziyu, who was standing at the side, was extremely nervous. He looked at Lin Xian with anticipation in his eyes. He seemed to be asking for Lin Xian's opinion. Lin Xian stood with his hands behind his back. He looked forward and said indifferently, "Don't worry, Purple Star did not waste the past 3 years. So, there was no need to worry about him." Although Lin Xian had been in seclusion for the past 3 years, he understood after coming out. Purple Star had been cultivating for the past 3 years, and he often sparred with Yi Wudao, Murong Qingqing and the Dark Red Divine Dragon. So, his strength had been steadily improving. Madam Purple Star took a deep breath. Is this your true strength? No wonder you dare to be so arrogant. But so what? I won't lose. The saber light on his body slashed out bolts of lightning one after another, slashing forward. Qinmu was even more powerful. After he displayed the 10 extremity starry sky chart, he really looked like a god of war. The long spear in his hand tore through the void. Together with the starry sky chart, it was extremely dazzling. His strength was even more terrifying than before. However, the two of them were still evenly matched. The surrounding people were discussing in surprise. They did not expect Purple Star to be able to resist the 10 extremity starry sky chart. His starry river saber technique was even more terrifying than before. It was extremely profound. I can feel a unique law. Exclamations sounded one after another. Qinmu's face turned even uglier. He did not expect that after displaying the 10 extremity starry sky chart, his opponent could still resist it. Thinking of this, he was furious. Despicable brat, go to hell. In an instant, the starry sky chart on his back bloomed with thousands of rays of light. It instantly formed a terrifying space that enveloped Purple Star. In the next moment, the space completely shattered the void. The surrounding people exclaimed, "Not good. Purple Star has been sealed. It's over." The most powerful power of the 10 extremity starry sky chart was to seal a part of the sky. Then, it would completely refine it. This move was enough to kill an expert who was stronger than him. This was also the most terrifying power of the 10 extremity starry sky chart. Now that Purple Star was enveloped, he was really doomed. Ziyu and the others were pale, and their eyes were filled with despair. Chapter 53:18. The scene in front of them caused countless people to exclaim. Ziyu and the others were in despair. Even the 9-star princess and the others took a deep breath. Lin Xian stood there with his hands behind his back. He looked at the scene in front of him and a cold light appeared in his eyes. If Purple Star really couldn't hold on, he would make a move. However, he soon smiled because he knew that there was no need for him to make a move. In front of him, the 10-extremity starry sky had sealed the world. Qinmu laughed sinisterly. You want to fight me with just you alone? I'll refine you now. The starlight in the sky turned into starfire and began to refine Purple Star inside. In the 10-extremity starry sky, Purple Star indeed felt a sealing power. Blood dripped from the corner of his mouth. All the bones in his body were making cracking sounds. To be honest, he had indeed encountered the most dangerous moment. However, an extremely cold light burst out from his eyes. Galaxy Saber. At this moment, he suddenly shouted angrily, and the saber light on his body soared into the sky. He seemed to have turned into a peerless saber and rushed forward. He collided with the 10-extremity starry sky. With a clang, the two collided like thunder, and then the world shook. The 10-extremity starry sky was forcefully split open, and a figure rushed out. He slashed forward with irresistible force. With a slash, Qinmu was sent flying. A terrifying crack appeared on Qinmu's body, and his internal organs were exposed. His sacred blood turned into a sea of blood. This sudden change caused the surrounding people to be dumbfounded. How was that possible? The 10-extremity starry sky chart was broken. It was too unbelievable. That saber was too terrifying. Did he use the one with the saber? This Purple Star was incredible. The powerhouses who were watching the battle were also shocked. Purple Star stood there with a pale face. Although his body was stained with blood, his saber technique was even more dazzling. I've said it before, you're no match for me at all. Across the sea of blood, Qinmu gritted his teeth with a ferocious expression. Damn it. His strongest ultimate skill had been broken by the other party? No. I don't believe it. I want you dead. He roared crazily. Why aren't you coming out? With a roar, the surrounding void shattered, and another person in the distance rose into the sky. Between heaven and earth, the phantoms of 10,000 snakes were roaring. They shattered the void. Everyone felt their scalps go numb. It was the Heavenly Snake Clan. Walking at the very front was a woman in colorful clothes. She was Kai Lingi, a genius of the Heavenly Serpent Clan. On the other side, the sky was filled with frost and a man walked out. Ice surrounded his body, sealing the world in ice. At the same time, dragon scales flickered. He was an expert of the Ice Dragon Clan. His strength was not any weaker than Kai Lingi. This was obviously a young giant. Who would have thought that there would be two young giants behind Qinmu? The 9-star princess smiled bitterly. This was also the reason why she had been defeated. Even if she joined forces with Purple Star, it would still be difficult to resist these three people. 3 tycoon-level geniuses walked out and stared at Purple Star. This caused the void on the Purple Star's side to constantly shatter. The faces of Ziyu and the others turned ugly. Oh no, they were really worried now. Purple Star was indeed powerful, but being able to defeat Qinmu with her strength alone had shocked them. However, now that two young giants had appeared, things were different. Kai Lingi walked out and said with a smile. Young Master Purple Star, you're really lucky. You didn't die in the shocking battle 3 years ago. However, it's a pity that your good luck ends here. If you hide your identity from now on, you might still be able to live. However, you shouldn't have come back. There's no place for you on the 9-star immortal platform. Today, if you obediently submit to us, you might still be able to live. Otherwise, we can only send you to hell. The Ice Dragon man next to him also sneered. Why bother talking nonsense with him? Just take him down. If you think it's a pity to kill him, you can make him our battle servant. There was a trace of ferocity in his eyes. This kid used to follow Lin Wuti, but so what? Lin Wuti had not appeared for 3 years. Perhaps he was seriously injured in the battle with Hun Tian and had died. Speaking of this, he laughed smugly. The ice and snow in the sky became even more terrifying. The endless palaces below were all sealed in ice, and even Ziyu and the others were covered in thick frost. You're no match for me at all. What do you have to fight me? Qinmu also sneered again. Although his body was stained with blood, he looked like a demon. Looking at this scene, Purple Star shook his head and sighed. He looked at Qinmu and said coldly, You'll definitely die. He then looked at Kai Lingi. The Ice Dragon man said coldly, If the two of you kneel down and cow down now, you might be able to live. As soon as these words came out, the surrounding people were stunned. What kind of joke was this? Where did Purple Star get the courage to say such words? One had to know that there were 3 young giants in front of them. No matter how powerful Purple Star was, could he defeat them? He reckoned that he wouldn't even be able to escape alive. Stupid thing, who gave you the courage? Did water get into your brain? Someone like you dares to threaten us? The 3 of them were also angry, and terrifying killing intent emerged from their bodies. They joined forces and walked forward. In an instant, the sky fell and the earth cracked, and many people vomited blood and were sent flying. Purple Star's expression also changed, and the wounds on his body also split open. However, at this moment, a hand patted his shoulder and gave him a surge of strength. Then a black-robed man walked forward. I gave him the courage. Lin Xian walked forward and blocked the terrifying murderous aura coming from the 3 of them. The surrounding elders were all stunned. Who was this person? He's too strong. Why do they feel that he's even stronger than Purple Star? Ziyu, on the other hand, was excited. Great, young Master Lin has made a move. Elder, were saved. With young Master Lin making a move, we definitely have hope. Purple Star also bowed respectfully. Thank you, young master. When the surrounding elders saw this scene, their pupils constricted. Could it be? They thought of a possibility and then gasped. In front, Qinmu and the other 2 frowned again. They looked at the black-robed man who suddenly appeared in front of them, and their faces were incomparably cold. Who are you? How dare you interfere in our affairs? Do you want to die? Kneel now and cripple your own arms. Get out and I can spare your life. Spare my life? Lin Xian smiled. Those who dare to say such words to me have already died 10,000 times. As for who I am, open your dog eyes wide and see clearly. Lin Xian's black robe fluttered, and the cloak split open, revealing a handsome face. In the next moment, the pupils of the 3 people in front shrank. Lin Wuti, it's you? You're not dead. The 3 young giants in front roared in horror. Chapter 53:19. Lin Xian's appearance shocked everyone, especially Qinmu and the other 2 at the front. Their faces turned extremely ugly. Although they were confident and fearless, it did not mean that they were not afraid of Lin Xian. This was Lin Wuti. He was the supreme existence that killed the Double Crown King. How could they be a match for him? Damn it, retreat. They quickly retreated. The surrounding people were shocked. Lin Wuti had only shown his face and he had already scared off 3 young giants. Who could be a match for such terror? Lin Xian snorted. Don't you think it's too late to leave now? The light of reincarnation appeared in his eyes and turned into a world of reincarnation, suppressing everything. Suddenly, the 3 of them were blocked. Get lost. Qinmu let out a furious roar as starlight shot out from his body. However, it was useless. They were all blocked. I don't believe it. Kai Ling turned into a heavenly snake and roared at the sky. Her body danced and tore the 9 heavens apart. However, she could not tear the world of reincarnation apart. On the other side, Ice Dragon was the same. He shot out a sky full of frost and turned it into an ice dragon, but it was trapped here. Damn it. The 3 of them roared crazily. Qinmu gritted his teeth and said. He was using the Rinnegan. It was a terrifying eye technique. However, with his soul power he would not be able to use it for long. After he said that, the other 2 were relieved. They only needed to wait for the power of reincarnation to disappear and they would be able to fight their way out. However, Lin Xian had already made his move. He would not give these people any time to wait. Heavenly path of reincarnation. With a furious roar, a huge hand appeared in the sky and pressed down on the ground. Its target was Qinmu. Qinmu roared. 10 extremities starry sky map. In an instant, the surrounding space turned into a starry sky and sealed the hand of heaven above. The surrounding people were also shocked. Could this attack be blocked? They were still confident. After all, the 10 extremity starry sky map was an unparalleled superpower. With one attack, the sky fell and the earth cracked. The 10 extremity starry sky map shook and then broke into pieces. The heavenly hand descended from the sky and enveloped Qinmu. Qinmu's face was filled with despair. This was impossible. His 10 extremity starry sky chart was so terrifying that it could seal everything. But right now, under the gigantic hand of the heavens, he was completely powerless to resist. No. He became terrified and turned to flee. This was the power of a young supremacy. The gap between them was really too big. He was no match for him at all. Unfortunately, he could not escape at all. The hand of the heavens fell, and the heavenly path of reincarnation crushed him. His body turned into a bloody mist, and his soul was dissipated by the samsara. Dead. The surrounding people were dumbfounded by this scene. They couldn't believe it. That was a young magnate, but now he was killed in a single move. This Lin Wuti was too terrifying. No. Young master. Qinmu's people screamed crazily. Madame Purple Star and the others clenched their fists. They saw hope. This was great. With Lin Wuti taking action, he could sweep away everything in the world. The other two people, Kai Lingy and Ice Dragon, were scared out of their wits when they saw this scene. Even if the two of them were stronger than Qinmu, they were not much stronger. Qinmu was killed in a single move. Could they withstand it? Therefore they fled crazily. Kai Lingy shouted angrily. She turned into a heavenly snake. There was an extremely terrifying aura on it, as if an ancient demonic beast had been revived. He charged forward. With a boom, the laws shook and multicolored light shone. This attack could penetrate a star. However, it could not shake the world of reincarnation. Lin Xian stood in the void and looked at this scene with a cold expression. He said that you can't break the world of reincarnation. As he spoke, he walked forward. A Taiji diagram appeared in his hand. It kept spinning and emitted a terrifying power. Damn it! Kai Lingy shouted angrily. She turned into a heavenly snake and spat out terrifying poison. At the same time, she raised her tail high and slashed down. It was like a heavenly knife that could destroy everything. It charged toward Lin Xian. There were black runes on the tail. They were highly toxic. Even if it was the other young giants, they would definitely die if they were enveloped by it. That was the power of his bloodline. Boom. Lin Xian did not dodge at all. Instead, he waved the Taiji diagram to resist. The two of them collided, producing an earth-shattering sound. That's great. Kai Lingy smiled. The people of the Heavenly Snake clan in the distance also snorted. Lin Wuti, you're too careless. Although you're powerful, can you withstand thousands of poisons? Our Heavenly Snake Princess's poison is beyond your imagination. Even a divine ancestor would have to retreat, let alone you. In their opinion, Lin Xian was definitely poisoned. It was very likely that he was seriously injured. Next they could attack. In the poisonous fog in front of them, the Taiji diagram kept spinning. It turned into yin and yang and tore everything apart. Lin Xian walked out unharmed. How was that possible? The eyes of the people of the Heavenly Snake clan almost popped out. Even Kai Lingy's pupils constricted. Impossible. Her Heavenly Snake poison, which could threaten a divine ancestor, was useless? Lin Xian snorted coldly. He held the Taiji diagram in his hand, and all the poison in the sky was sealed in the Taiji diagram. Could not hurt him at all. In the next moment, he threw out the Taiji diagram, which turned into a ray of piercing light. Taiji slash. Like a bolt of lightning, it charged toward the Heavenly Snake clan. Kai Lingy tried her best to dodge. Her body circled and formed the strongest defense. However, it was useless. The attack directly hit her vital point. Ah! She let out a miserable cry as her body was instantly torn into pieces. That was her vital point. It was her most fatal point. That attack made her hover between life and death. Not only that, but the Taiji diagram also released an extremely terrifying cold aura. That was the law of death, which turned her broken body into a pile of bones. Was she dead? Countless people were shocked. The people of the Heavenly Snake clan also turned pale. Suddenly, among the bones that rushed out, there were tens of thousands of finger-sized snakes that drilled into the ground. She wasn't dead. She escaped. Countless people exclaimed. The people of the Heavenly Snake clan were also delighted. Great. The Heavenly Snake clan was a rare beast of heaven and earth, a ferocious beast from ancient times. They definitely had a super powerful escape method. Now their princess had used a life-saving method, but they were also gnashing their teeth. Once she used that method, although she could survive, she would definitely be seriously injured and her foundation would be damaged. It would be difficult to recover without 500 years. She wasn't dead yet? Lin Xian was also surprised. She had some tricks up her sleeve. However, do you think you can escape? He shouted coldly, and the nine-yang divine body released a terrifying nine-yang divine fire that swept across the surroundings. It burned the world. At this moment, Lin Xian turned into the sun god of war. He was like the sun, and his terrifying light enveloped the world. In an instant, the escaping heavenly snakes under the ground screamed crazily. Chapter 53:20. He died again. Everyone was stunned. The people from the Sky Snake clan roared crazily. They couldn't accept it. Had their clan's proud daughter fallen? It was like a bolt from the blue to them. The 9-star princess and the others were terrified. Lin Xian was too powerful. He killed Qinmu in one move. He killed Kai Lingy in 2 moves. His skills were heaven-defying. Who among the younger generation could be his match? Lin Xian turned around and looked at the last young giant, the Ice Dragon Elite. The Ice Dragon Elite's face turned pale. He was still full of confidence and had the confidence to fight. However, when he saw the two elites die with his own eyes, he was scared out of his wits. He didn't dare to resist Lin Xian's gaze. He said, "Young Master Lin, this is a misunderstanding." "A misunderstanding?" Lin Xian smiled. "Since it's a misunderstanding, you can pay for it with your life." The Ice Dragon Elite was stunned. The smile on his face froze. Lin Xian sneered. "What? You're not going to do it yourself? Then I'll do it for you and send you to hell." As he said that, he slashed out with his sword. That sword was extremely terrifying and sharp. It turned into the shadow of a dragon and descended from the sky. Damn it! The Ice Dragon Elite roared and froze the world. He unleashed the terrifying power of his bloodline and transformed into tens of millions of ice dragon phantoms, sealing the entire heaven and earth in ice. He quickly retreated and fled into the distance. The sword chi in the sky was frozen, but it was useless. With a crack, the sword chi shone in all directions and the cold light pierced through the world. With one slash, the thousands of frost were split in half. Not only that, the entire world was split open and a large crack spread into the distance. Then, it enveloped the ice dragon in the distance. It tore his body apart. Endless cracks appeared on the Ice Dragon Elite's body and he shattered like cherry blossoms. He didn't even have time to scream before he vanished into thin air. Lin Xian put away his long sword and stood with his hands behind his back like a sword immortal. The surrounding people were dumbfounded. From the moment Lin Xian made his move to the end of the battle, only a few seconds had passed. It could be said that in the blink of an eye, the three young giants had all fallen. The world of Samsara in the heavenly palace slowly disappeared. Surrounded by a sea of blood, everything was silent. "Damn it, you dare to kill our princess?" The experts of the Heavenly Snake clan roared crazily. Lin Xian said coldly as he looked disdainfully at the other party. "Do you want revenge? I can give you a chance." The Sky Serpent clan experts felt their scalps go numb when they heard this. They kept retreating in fear. Who would dare to make a move in such a situation? Mo. But at this time, a crazy roar came from the distance. Immediately after, countless experts rushed out from the surroundings. Another middle-aged man strode over. They were from Qin Mu's line. When the elders saw that Qin Mu had fallen, they roared crazily. Who was it? They had gone too far. They stared straight ahead. When he realized that it was Lin Xian, his eyelids twitched wildly. "You are the new palace master?" Lin Xian looked at the middle-aged man in front of him and asked in a deep voice. The middle-aged man also felt his scalp go numb. Although he was a palace master, so what? His previous palace master had been killed by this young man in front of him. Therefore, facing Lin Wuti, he didn't dare to be careless at all. Instead, it was as if he was facing a great enemy. Why did young Master Lin kill Qin Mu? You don't seem to have any grudges. The middle-aged man gritted his teeth and asked. Why did he kill him? I stood up for Zixing. Is this reason enough? Hearing this, the middle-aged palace master's pupils constricted. He looked at Zixing in shock. Damn it, Zixing has become Lin Wuti's friend? It was too unbelievable. It seemed that Qin Mu had died for nothing this time. He didn't dare to make a move at all. He gritted his teeth and said, "All right, young Master Lin, let's forget about this matter. The mountains will not change and the rivers will flow forever. We will have a chance to meet again in the future. I won't send you off, young Master Lin." As a dignified Immortal Foundation Palace Master, he dominated the world and controlled a region. But at this moment, facing a young man, he couldn't make a move. He even had to treat him with respect. He felt like he had been slapped in the face. Therefore he wanted to leave urgently. Lin Xian laughed. Did I allow you to leave? The middle-aged palace master stopped and turned his head. He gritted his teeth. What else did young Master Lin want? His voice was unusually cold. You are not suitable to be a 9-star Immortal Foundation Palace Master. His calm voice sounded like thunder. The surrounding people were all dumbfounded. Especially those from Qin Mu's faction, their pupils constricted. The middle-aged palace master also shouted in anger. Lin Wuti, what do you mean by this? Are you still interfering in the matters of our Immortal Foundation? Those elders also shouted. Lin Wuti, don't go overboard. This is our 9-star Immortal Foundation, not your territory. Overboard? Lin Xian sneered. Back then, when you cooperated with the Primal Chaos race to kill me, did you think about going overboard? It seems that the punishment I gave you last time was too light. Lin Xian emitted a monstrous killing intent. The surrounding people were so frightened that their scalps turned numb. Lin Wuti, was he planning to settle the score now? They had indeed worked together to kill him. If he came looking for them with this reason, it was indeed very reasonable. But if they really fought, would their 9-star immortal foundation be able to withstand it? One must know that back then the primal chaos race's quasi-emperor personally came out with so many ancient and emperor clans to kill Lin Wuti. But they still failed. Now they only had a single immortal foundation. Thinking of this, those elders' faces were filled with despair. The middle-aged palace master also took a deep breath. He lowered his head and said, "Young Master Lin, our immortal foundation was indeed in the wrong. Hence, the previous palace master died. You have already taken your revenge. Now I will lead the immortal foundation. I promise that I will not be your enemy in the future." As a palace master, lowering his head to a young man like this. If this spread out, it would definitely shock everyone. However, Lin Xian shook his head. "I'm not at ease. I plan to let Madame Purple Star be the palace master of Immortal Foundation." The moment these words came out, those from the 9-star palace master's faction were stunned. Those from Madame Purple Star's faction were overjoyed. The sun had recovered. Madame Purple Star even bowed and cupped her fists. "From now on I will respect young master." "Impossible?" The middle-aged palace master roared crazily. "You have no right to interfere with the matters of our immortal foundation." Lin Xian sneered. "Do you think I am discussing with you? I am just informing you. Madame Purple Star, from now on, you are the new palace master of 9-star Immortal Foundation. If they dare to resist, I can help you clean up the sect." "Damn it." The middle-aged palace master roared. "Get into formation and kill them all." He was really crazy. He had just become the palace master. How could he allow others to snatch his position? Moreover, there was only Lin Wuti now. He could kill them silently. The peerless spirit formation in the surroundings was formed, and those elders were charging over in an overwhelming manner. Lin Xian laughed loudly. You guys are courting death." In his eyes, a terrifying reincarnation light appeared. Reincarnation fire. With a glance, the soul fire flew out. Those elders hugged their heads and screamed. Their souls were burning as they fell from the sky one by one. Some of them had their souls destroyed directly. Some were seriously injured. In the blink of an eye, hundreds of experts turned into ashes. The surrounding people felt their scalps go numb. What kind of strength was this? Just a glance was enough to kill so many experts. Chapter 53:21. All of you back off. I will kill him. When the middle-aged palace master saw this, his heart was bleeding. These were all the experts of his faction. Now that so many of them had died, he couldn't accept it. He wanted to kill Lin Fan personally. He was a divine ancestor, the pinnacle existence of the great sage. With a roar, a nebula appeared on his body. Endless starry skies covered the entire area. Then a pagoda appeared. Thousands of rays of starlight flowed on top of it as it charged towards Lin Xian. It was actually the Starry Treasure Pagoda. The surrounding experts exclaimed in shock. Zixing and the others frowned. Previously they were confused. Why was this middle-aged man the pagoda master? Because this middle-aged man had just reached the pinnacle of the great sage a few years ago. Based on cultivation and experience, he shouldn't be the pagoda master. But now, when they saw the Starry Treasure Pagoda, they didn't understand. Because this person was very talented. Although he had just become a divine ancestor, his future was limitless. The Starry Treasure Pagoda was a secret on the 9-star immortal platforms. It was very difficult to cultivate. It was on par with the 10 Extremities star map. Now that it was cultivated, its power was really terrifying. The Starry Treasure Pagoda in the sky was exceptionally bright. The starlight above it descended and covered Lin Xian completely. "Let's see how you will die this time." The middle-aged palace master laughed coldly. He was very confident in his own divine ancestor. Lin Xian scoffed coldly. He took out the Hell God sword and swept it in all directions. Sword light danced around like lightning, causing the surrounding starlight to dim. What a terrifying sword technique. When the surrounding people saw this, they were shocked. This was really the young sword god. When the middle-aged palace master saw this, his face turned cold. With a roar, he let the Starry Treasure Pagoda descend. This was an extremely terrifying divine ancestor. After it descended, it turned into a huge mountain. The entire world began to shake violently, and countless terrifying cracks appeared in the surroundings. The surrounding sword chi was bent. One could imagine how terrifying the Starry Treasure Pagoda was. Seeing this, the middle-aged divine ancestor laughed coldly. "Lin Wuti, you will definitely lose this battle." The surrounding spectators were terrified. Lin Fan was too powerful. The Starry Treasure Pagoda was too terrifying. Lin Wuti was still no match for the sacred ancestor. One after another, earth-shattering voices could be heard. Starry Treasure Pagoda? He was indeed very strong. Lin Xian's eyes shone with a terrifying light. However, you underestimate my swordsmanship. Let me show you my swordsmanship. Lin Xian roared and waved his sword. That one sword strike was breathtaking. A terrifying aura pierced through the 9 heavens and 10 earths, causing the Starry Treasure Pagoda to shake violently. The starlight on it dimmed. Then a few more sword strikes landed on it. Instantly, the Starry Treasure Pagoda flew out. The sword chi became more and more terrifying, and all of them hit the same place. The Starry Treasure Pagoda kept on flying backward, and a crack appeared on it. With a cracking sound, it shattered into pieces. The middle-aged sacred leader instantly spat out a mouthful of blood. This was his Tao artifact. They were connected by blood. Now that it was damaged, even his foundation was severely damaged. Blood dyed the sky red. He fell into the sea of blood and roared madly. Impossible. What kind of sword technique was this? He had never seen it before. The others were also shocked. What kind of sword technique did Lin Wuti use? Lin Xian withdrew his sword and said coldly, "This is a sword technique that I created myself. It's called breathtaking." Breathtaking sword technique. Countless people were shocked. This was actually a sword technique that he created himself. Had Lin Wuti already reached this step? Was he going to create his own Tao? The 9-star princess and the others were shocked. To be honest, at their level, creating their own martial arts wasn't a problem at all. However, very few people would use their own martial arts divine abilities. After all, the martial arts divine abilities that had been passed down had been refined for tens of thousands of years or even millions of years. No matter how strong a sacred leader was, he could only live for a few thousand years. It couldn't be compared to the martial arts divine abilities that had been passed down. Those martial arts divine abilities had been modified by countless ancestors and were powerful martial arts divine abilities. That was why everyone learned such martial arts divine abilities. But now Lin Xian's martial arts divine ability had surpassed everything. It was too unbelievable. How high had this person reached in the sword Tao? It was impossible. How could he create such a terrifying sword technique? The middle-aged sacred lord's face was full of disbelief. Lin Xian said in a deep voice, "Nothing was impossible." It was like a meteor that shone brightly in life, but it dimmed in an instant. Over the years I've seen too many geniuses and they're all amazing. They rose in the starry sky and swept across the universe, making people remember them instantly. However, they disappeared in a flash and their souls were destroyed. Yan Nantian, the Dragon Prince, and Hun Tian were all geniuses of their generation. But in the end they all died in my hands. I killed countless geniuses and comprehended the great Tao to create this breathtaking sword technique. Now that you have died in this sword technique, you deserve to die. As he said that, Lin Xian slashed out again. This sword technique was indeed terrifying. When the sword lit up, it illuminated the world and everyone couldn't open their eyes. After the sword, the middle-aged sacred lord's soul was destroyed. The sword light suddenly disappeared. It was extremely strange. Shocking, absolutely shocking. Everyone was silent, not a single sound could be heard. Lin Xian looked around and asked faintly, "Is there anyone who is unconvinced?" The elders who objected all lowered their heads. They no longer dared to be unconvinced. If they continued to fight, their lineage would probably be destroyed. Therefore they could only say that they were willing to submit. Lin Xian nodded. "All right, from now on, Zixing would be the new sacred lord." "Greetings, sacred lord." Everyone took a deep breath and bowed respectfully to Zixing. The elders behind Zixing were extremely excited. This was great. Their lineage had finally become the sacred lord. They would definitely be able to shine in the future. Zixing was also extremely excited. To be honest, he had never thought that he would become the sacred lord one day. Of course, he knew that this was all because of Lin Xian. Lin Xian could make him the sacred lord with a single sentence. But he could also make him fall into the abyss with a single sentence. Therefore he took a deep breath and looked at Lin Xian. "From now on, I am willing to follow young master." "Good, you will be a member of the divine union from now on." Lin Xian patted Zixing on the shoulder. He was also very happy. An immortal foundation was also a terrifying force. Now that 2 immortal foundations were on his side, the divine union was even more terrifying. "Young master, please." Zixing and the others respectfully invited Lin Xian in. "Princess." The elders beside the 9-star princess also shook their heads and sighed. They were afraid that the 9-star palace master would do something stupid. The 9-star princess smiled bitterly. Don't worry, I won't go against Lin Wuti. As a young powerhouse, she was also arrogant and did not care about anything. However, she had no choice but to lower her head in front of Lin Xian. There was only one outcome for going against Lin Xian, and that was death. The elders beside her were also shocked. Lin Wuti was too strong. He had made the 9-star Immortal Foundation submit with just a few words. They wondered how shocked the universe would be when he walked out. The 9-star princess' eyes also lit up. Over the past 3 years there had been rumors that Lin Wuti had died. Now that he had come out alive, those people would probably be dumbfounded. Over the past 3 years, many people had secretly made moves against the Divine Union and the Sacred Hall. Chapter 53-22. In the main hall of the 9-star Immortal platform, Lin Xian sat on the throne. Madame Purple Star and the others stood respectfully at the side. The others also stood up one after another. Although they knew that Madame Purple Star was the new Hall Lord, the current owner of the 9-star Immortal platform was Lin Wuti. Tell me what happened in the past 3 years. Lin Xian asked in a low voice. An Immortal platform's information was definitely more than what they knew. Soon, the elder of the 9-star Immortal platform walked out and recounted what happened in the past 3 years. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. He had already heard some of it. However, there were still some things he didn't know. For example, there were a few double crown kings in the universe. This really surprised him. Moreover, the identities of these double crown kings had already been guessed by others. They weren't from this generation but from the previous generation or even the generation before that. In every generation, there would be some terrifying experts who transcended mortality. They calculated that the opportunity to become an immortal emperor was in this generation. Hence, some of the top geniuses went into seclusion and chose to sleep for countless years. They appeared in the generation where there was hope to become an immortal emperor. The current generation was the best golden generation. Hence, these people came out one after another. Golden generation. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes after hearing this. He felt the pressure. However, he soon snorted coldly. So what? He wasn't afraid of the double crown kings. Now he was also a double crown king. Moreover, this wasn't the end. Lin Xian knew that there was still a triple crown king in the Purple Mansion. His strength would probably be even more terrifying. Lin Xian looked around and asked in a low voice. Your immortal platform should have some ancient inheritance or ruins, right? I want to feel the supreme aura of the Great Tao. This caused the elders to hesitate. Madame Purple Star walked out. She held the Hall Lord token and said, I am the new Hall Lord. I announce that young Master Lin can enjoy the cultivation treatment of a Hall Lord. The immortal platforms had core secrets. Ordinary people couldn't cultivate at all. In fact, even some elders didn't have the qualifications. Only the core elders and the Hall Lords had it. Lin Xian was an outsider. Normally he wouldn't have the qualifications. However, that might not be the case now. Those elders nodded and said, Young Master Lin, this way please. At the core of the 9-star Immortal platform, there were 9 constellations revolving unceasingly. Every star was extremely mysterious and some of them were even stained with blood. Although it was already dry, the aura on it was incomparably terrifying. Young Master Lin, the name of our 9-star Immortal Foundation comes from these 9 stars. These 9 stars had already existed before the Yuhua Immortal Dynasty was destroyed. Back then, our ancestors were also unparalleled powerhouses in the Yuhua Immortal Dynasty. These 9 stars were his. Over the past 10,000 years, we have comprehended many great Daos from these 9 stars and created many divine abilities. As for what young master can comprehend, it will depend on young master's luck. Oh really? Lin Xian nodded and sat down cross-legged. He looked at the 9 stars in front of him to comprehend the aura of the Great Path. As for the others, they slowly withdrew. While Lin Xian was cultivating, the Hundun tribe was gnashing their teeth. Their Hundun physique had been snatched away. And their ancestor had not returned after a long time. This made them feel despair. The strongest genius had fallen and his corpse was gone. And their greatest reliance, the Quasi-Emperor, was also missing. Could it be that something had happened to their ancestor? If the Quasi-Emperor had fallen, then their Hundun tribe would be completely finished. However, what made them heave a sigh of relief was that their ancestor's soul fire was still there. It was not extinguished. In the ancient hall, there was a ball of flame that kept jumping. It was left behind by the Quasi-Emperor. As long as the soul fire was not extinguished, it meant that they were definitely not dead. But now, where were their Quasi-Emperors? They did not know. The situation did not improve, and their ancestor would probably not return for a while. They could not take revenge. At the thought of this, they gritted their teeth. Damn Lin Wuti. He actually dared to kill their double crown champion. They were so angry that they vomited blood. Among them, some of the divine ancestors discussed and prepared to assassinate Lin Xin, but they realized that it would not work. This was because Lin Xin had already grown up and had many powerful saints behind him. Once a battle of that level happened again, the situation would probably be the same as before. If a group battle did not work, then they could only send one person to challenge. In this way, the experts behind Lin Xin would not be able to make a move. But who should they send? Even the double crown champion had fallen, and the others would only be sending themselves to their deaths. At this moment, a ray of light of chaos flew out from the ancient hall. At the same time, a cold voice sounded. "I'll go and kill that Lin Wudi." Hearing this, everyone was stunned. They looked ahead. That ray of light of chaos was a strange stone that was emitting a terrifying light. After some elders saw it, their expressions changed. "Greetings, Lord Chaos Stone." They bowed one after another because the origin of this stone was very unusual. This was the stone beside the Quasi-Emperor. The Quasi-Emperor meditated and cultivated all year round on this stone. Therefore, this stone also carried a trace of extremely terrifying Emperor's aura. The surrounding members of the chaotic race were all excited. Although the Chaos Stone was a stone, after countless years, it had long possessed a soul. This was equivalent to a powerful living being. If Lord Chaos Stone were to make a move, there would definitely be a chance. This was an existence even more powerful than Hun Tian. After all, a stone had existed for too long. In addition, it had been by the Quasi-Emperor's side all year round. Its realm could be said to be unfathomable. The other divine ancestor-level elders were very respectful when they saw him. "Lord Chaos Stone, are you going to make a move?" "That's great. If you make a move, that Lin Wudi will definitely die." "That's right, Lord Chaos, please kill that kid." Roars rang out one after another around them. They saw hope. The Chaos Stone nodded. He said that Lin Wudi had to be killed. And the person who took away the Chaos body had to be killed too. The Chaos body had to be taken back. "I am from the chaotic race. I will not allow others to challenge me." At this point, the Chaos Stone emitted an extremely terrifying chaos aura that pierced through the 9 heavens and 10 lands. The terrifying pressure made those powerhouses feel as if they were facing a great enemy. Where was Lin Wudi? "I'll go and kill him," Chaos said coldly. The surrounding elders had ugly expressions on their faces. Lord Chaos Stone, after the battle between Lin Wudi and His Highness Hun Tian 3 years ago, there was no news of him. It was said that he was in seclusion. Some people said that he was seriously injured and died. He hasn't appeared yet. He hasn't appeared? I want to see him if he's alive and his corpse if he's dead. Chapter 53:23. He had the Sacred Hall and the Divine Union under him. However, the Divine Union was still the most famous one. It was an alliance that had gathered countless ancient families and powerhouses. The Divine Union. Alright, let's go to the Divine Union. The chaotic Nightmare Stone's eyes glowed with a terrifying light. He shot up into the sky. A group of chaotic tribe powerhouses followed behind him. The Divine Union was now at its peak. It was no longer just a small force in the Tao. Now, it had grown into a colossal entity and was a powerful alliance. Therefore, the Divine Union didn't just exist in the Tao. They had also opened up a territory in the entire Sacred Origin ancient city and built their own residence. The Divine Union was very lively now because their new residence had just been built. It was located in the east of the ancient city. It was so majestic that one couldn't see the end of it. There were countless array formations around it, all set up by the dark red divine dragon and a group of array formation experts. From this day onwards, the Divine Union would start a new legend. He would also become the overlord of the Sacred Origin ancient city and be as famous as the 3 great Tao sects and the Sacred Origin Tower. In an instant, countless experts came to congratulate him. His allies also came one after another. The Eternal Life Hall, the Fire God Palace, the Pill Cauldron Sect, the Fire Dragon Tribe, the Black Sea Dragons, the Nalan family, the Dugu family. Powerful sects and clans arrived one after another. It was very lively. Disciples of the Tao could be seen everywhere. On top of that, the people of Peerless City also came. Fu Hongye, Lu Yuan, and the others all returned to witness this miraculous moment together. The other sects and families in the Sacred Origin ancient city also came to congratulate him. They looked at the scene with mixed emotions. It was unbelievable. One had to know that to become the overlord of the Sacred Origin ancient city, it would take tens of thousands of years or even tens of thousands of years of development. However, it had only been a few years since the Divine Union had been established and it had been at its peak. More importantly, the person who had established the divine union had been a young man. Now, he had grown into a colossal entity that everyone came to congratulate him. It was really heaven-defying. Of course, they knew that the owner of the divine union was even more heaven-defying. He was a young supreme being who had killed the emperor's son and the double-crown king. Although his current whereabouts were unknown, no one dared to underestimate him. In the manner of the divine union, there was an endless stream of geniuses chatting and exchanging pointers with each other. The scene was very lively. A banquet was held in the central hall of the divine union. Those who could enter were all top-notch geniuses and terrifying experts. In the northern position there was a throne, but it was empty. That was for Lin Xian. On both sides of the throne were a few other core members of the divine union. For example, Bai Susu, the dark red divine dragon, and Fu Hongye. They sat there. Bai Susu stood up. She had dressed up meticulously today. Her white robe was spotless, and her beautiful face was like that of a fairy descending to the mortal world. She raised a cup of spirit wine, looked around the hall, and said with a smile, "Today is a great day for the divine union to rebuild the sect. Thank you all for coming. The chief of the divine union, Lin Wudi, is temporarily unable to make it due to cultivation. Let me toast everyone. White Fairy is too polite." The surrounding people didn't dare to be careless. In the past, Bai Susu was only the daughter of a Dao sect elder and a top genius. He couldn't be compared to these big shots at all. However, things were different now. Bai Susu was the great elder of the divine union. Her status was definitely extraordinary. Actually, this should be the case. After all, Bai Susu was in charge of all the affairs of the divine union. Lin Xian was a hands-off shopkeeper who only knew how to cultivate. The divine union had to find someone to manage it. Murong Qingqing, Shin Jingqiu, and the others were all focused on cultivation and didn't like to manage such matters. Bai Susu was very suitable. Her status in the divine union was equivalent to Peacock's status in the divine hall. That was very high. Therefore, her toast was equivalent to representing the divine union and Lin Xian. The others naturally didn't dare to be careless. After this, the surrounding people also stood up to toast and present congratulatory gifts. Voices rang out one after another as congratulatory gifts were presented one after another. Everyone exclaimed in surprise. These were all precious treasures. Only the divine union could bring out all of them at once. The members of the divine union were very proud. They all had smiles on their faces. Bai Susu was also very happy. This was great. When Lin Xian returned, she would finally be able to give him a satisfactory explanation. Suddenly, a voice came from afar like a clap of thunder. How could the primal chaos tribe miss out on such a grand occasion? The voice was like a clap of thunder that spread in all directions. Everyone in the main hall of the divine union was stunned. The primal chaos tribe. Their pupils constricted. The news of Hun Tian's death had spread throughout the realms. Everyone knew that the primal chaos tribe's double-crown king had been slain by Lin Xian. The two of them were sworn enemies. The primal chaos tribe definitely wasn't here to congratulate them. They were definitely here to cause trouble. Could their boundary emperor have returned? Were they here to kill their way in? Thinking of this possibility, everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. The members of the divine union were also shocked. People like Dark Red Shenong, Fu Hongye, Bai Susu, and the others even stood up. Let's go. Bai Susu led the group out of the main hall. A group of people followed the powerhouses who had come to congratulate them out of the main hall. They looked up at the sky, which was already filled with primal chaos aura. It was as if the sky and earth had been split apart. There were countless terrifying cracks in the sky. Everyone felt a sense of fear and oppression. Powerhouses had arrived. There were a lot of them. In the next moment, they saw figures that resembled demonic gods appearing one after another amidst the chaotic aura that filled the air. It was the members of the primal chaos tribe. Many people exclaimed as their pupils constricted. The members of the divine union were in an uproar. Bai Susu walked out and looked up at the sky. Primal chaos tribe, the divine union didn't invite you. Aren't you being too rude by coming uninvited? We don't welcome you today. The primal chaos tribe can go anywhere in the world. Could it be that we can't come to the divine union? A sacred lord in the sky said coldly. Suddenly, a terrifying aura surged out in all directions like a deep sea. Dark Red Shenong and the others also shouted angrily. Did they want to fight? They would accompany them to the end. The members of the divine union exuded an extremely terrifying aura. The members of the primal chaos tribe in the sky didn't back down. However, a voice rang out. Where was Lin Wudi? Get him out here. This voice was even colder and the power of primal chaos was even more terrifying. The surrounding people's pupils constricted when they heard this. Who was this person? What arrogance! A moment later they saw the powerhouses of the primal chaos tribe in the sky open up a path. Chapter 53:24. Who are you? Do you think you can meet our alliance leader? Bai Susu snorted coldly. The others were also discussing animatedly. Who was this person? They could sense that this wasn't a quasi-emperor, so they were even more curious. Apart from a quasi-emperor and a chaotic body, what other terrifying experts did the chaotic tribe have? In the sky, the light of chaos gradually disappeared, following which a rock appeared. The stone was only half a meter tall and had a strange shape. There were chaotic runes on it and it looked very mysterious. Everyone was stunned. They had not expected it to be a stone. The people of the Divine Union were also stunned. Bai Susu snorted coldly. How dare a mere stone act so presumptuously in the Divine Union? You don't have the right to meet our alliance leader. Was there no one else in the chaotic tribe? Sending a stone over? What a joke. The dark red divine dragon also sneered. The other people of the Divine Union also burst into laughter. They had originally thought that it would be some powerful figure. They had not expected it to be a stone. How dare you be so rude to our Lord Chaotic Stone? Do you have a death wish? The elders of the chaotic tribe in the sky roared furiously. The other experts and powerhouses narrowed their eyes when they heard this. Lord Chaotic Stone? It seemed like he had an extraordinary background. Otherwise, why would the elders of the chaotic tribe be so respectful? The chaotic stone looked down and stared at Bai Susu. How dare an ant like you talk to me like this? Today I'll let you know what etiquette is. Apart from Lin Wudi, none of you are worthy of going against me. As he said that, he shot out a beam of chaotic light. This beam of chaotic light was very bright. The moment it appeared, it turned into a bolt of lightning and charged towards Bai Susu. His speed and strength caused the pupils of the surrounding people to shrink. The sect masters and clan leaders also exclaimed. This power was too shocking for them. Bai Susu's face also changed. He roared furiously and sent out a palm strike. The current him had undergone an earth-shattering change compared to before. During the period when Lin Xian was not around, he had been presiding over the Divine Union. Therefore she had obtained a lot of cultivation resources. The current her had also become a kind of young giant. Her strength was extremely terrifying. At this moment she struck out with her palm. Clouds and mist drifted about. Firmament palm. When the two collided, an earth-shattering sound erupted. However, in the next instant the firmament palm was pierced through. Bai Susu clutched her hand as she backed away. Her face was pale beyond compare. He even spat out a mouthful of blood. The surrounding people exclaimed in surprise when they saw this, especially the people from the Divine Union. Their expressions changed drastically. Right now, Bai Susu was already a young powerhouse. Her strength was absolutely terrifying. But now he couldn't even block a single attack from his opponent? This rock was too terrifying. Damn it. Bai Susu suppressed her surging blood essence and formed a hand seal, drawing 4 incarnations. He immediately charged out. A long sword appeared in each of their hands. White Cloud Sword Array. This was her ultimate technique. Her 4 incarnations were extremely terrifying as they charged towards the Chaos Stone from all directions. However, the Chaos Stone was calm. Its body kept spinning and collided with the 4 white cloud swords. With a clang, the swords broke. The 4 incarnations spat out blood again and were sent flying. 3 of them had cracks and Bai Susu's main body was injured. Too weak. Was this the strength of the Divine Union? She couldn't even block a single attack from him. The Chaos Stone shook his head and sneered. The entire place was silent. Everyone's eyes were wide open and their jaws dropped. Bai Susu was weak? They didn't think so. At the very least, the previous attack was definitely at the level of a young giant. Even the other young giants would have to be careful when dealing with it. But now Bai Susu had been defeated. She had been defeated easily. It wasn't that Bai Susu was weak, but that the Chaos Stone was too strong. The other party had the strength of a double champion. The primal Chaos tribe was too terrifying. Just a rock was so terrifying. Damn it, this was definitely no ordinary rock. What was the origin of this rock? It was no wonder the primal Chaos tribe dared to come. Apart from the primal Chaos body, there was actually such a terrifying rock. It seemed like the situation was dangerous this time. Countless discussions broke out. The people from the Divine Union were extremely nervous. The disciples came out and went to Bai Susu's side. Senior Sister Bai, are you alright? Bai Susu's face was pale. Damn it, how could he be so strong? I'll take revenge for you. The dark rainbow divine dragon walked out and said coldly, "Where did this stupid rock come from? Get down here. How dare a snake be so arrogant in front of me?" The chaos stone sneered and shot out a terrifying chaotic light once again. It slashed down like a heavenly blade. The dark rainbow divine dragon also felt his hair stand on end. Only now did he know what kind of pressure Bai Susu had faced. This person was probably even stronger than Hun Tian. He shouted angrily, not daring to be careless. He unleashed the dragon blade to fight back. With a clang, the dragon blade was sent flying. He hurriedly gathered the surrounding array formations. They formed 36 formations, covering the sky and covering the earth as they enveloped him. However, they were completely penetrated. He was also sent flying with a wound on his body. He was injured again. Countless people were shocked. They knew that the dark rainbow divine dragon was also a young giant. More importantly, the other party was an array formation expert. Now, he was actually injured even though he was using the array formation. He only suffered light injuries. Your array formation skills are not bad. However, you are still no match for me. The Chaos Stone looked at the dark rainbow divine dragon with a hint of surprise. The people of the chaotic tribe sneered. The divine union was just SOSO. Where was Lin Wudi? He dared to kill our highness. Today we are here to take revenge. Get him out here. Cold shouts rang out one after another. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. The members of the divine union also looked gloomy. They said that they should attack together. Yes, that was right. Experts from the Eternal Life Hall, Dugu family and Fire Dragon family walked out one after another. They planned to attack together. The elders of the chaotic tribe sneered when they saw this. What? You can't beat him one-on-one, so you want to attack together? Is this the strength of the divine union? Do you think you are the only ones? Lin Wudi has too many enemies. As long as we give the order, all your enemies will rush over. Let's see what you can do then. Hearing this, the people of the divine union looked extremely ugly. Bai Susu also said not to act rashly. Damn it, where did this stupid stone come from? The dark rainbow divine dragon also gritted his teeth. He had not expected that even he would be defeated. Let me do it. At this moment, a figure floated over from the depths of the divine dragon mansion. This figure was extremely beautiful. She was expressionless as she looked up at the chaos stone in the sky. Chapter 53-25. The person who had arrived was Shinjingqiu. Her appearance restored the confidence of the divine union members. After all, Shinjingqiu was a proud daughter of heaven. She was even stronger than Bai Susu, the dark red dragon, and the others. The surrounding people also exclaimed. Was Shinjingqiu going to make a move? It seemed like the situation had taken a turn for the better. Are you Shinjingqiu? You are no match for me. Get Lin Wudi to come out. The divine union members' faces changed when they heard this. The dark red dragon gritted his teeth. What was a piece of broken stone being so arrogant about? That's right. Even your chaotic body was destroyed by our alliance leader Lin. How dare a piece of stone like you go against alliance leader Lin? Be careful not to send you to the 18th level of hell. Upon hearing this, the chaotic stone emitted a terrifying killing intent. It pierced through the 9 heavens and 10 lands. The surrounding people felt their scalps go numb. The entire place fell silent. The divine union members felt their blood boil. It seemed like their bodies were about to split apart. At that moment, Shinjingqiu walked out. A terrifying golden vortex appeared on her body. Terrifying nomological laws also surged out. She struck out with her palm, shattering the surrounding void. Everyone else also retreated. One could imagine how strong Shinjingqiu was. The chaotic stone snorted. The chaotic light on its body, which carried an extremely strong killing intent, descended. It seemed to have transformed into a chaotic sword that swept out in all directions. In the next moment, it charged over like a bolt of lightning. It charged towards Shinjingqiu. Shinjingqiu snorted. She formed a seal with her hands and flicked it out gently. A golden ray of light flew out and collided with the other party. Instantly, 100,000 thunderous sounds rang out. Heaven and earth were overturned. With the two of them as the center, a violent force swept out in all directions. The surrounding people retreated one after another. At the same time, they exclaimed that it was too powerful. Boom. At that moment, an extremely terrifying aura suddenly erupted from the chaotic stone. It was several times stronger than before. Shinjingqiu's pupils shrank. She was forced to retreat. At the same time, a mysterious figure appeared from the golden vortex behind her. It suppressed the heavens and the earth. Even so, he still retreated a dozen steps. The surrounding people widened their eyes in disbelief. What did they see? Shin Jingqiu was pushed back. It was unbelievable. One should know that Shin Jingqiu's strength was extremely powerful. But now he was actually forced back. Just how terrifying was this chaos gem? No wonder the Hundun tribe dared to come here and challenge Lin Xian. He was not injured at all. The Stone of Chaos was also surprised. It looked at Shin Jingqiu and the figure behind him and frowned deeply. Taboo martial arts. Looks like I've underestimated you. One had to know that even if it was a young giant, that move just now would be able to kill him. Even the double champion could have been injured, but Shin Jingqiu was unharmed. However, he didn't care because he knew that his strength was enough to crush everything. You don't have to do anything. You're not my match. Let Lin Wudi come out. I gave him 10 days. If he doesn't appear in 10 days, I'll come here and kill all of you. Don't even think about escaping. Who wants to escape? I'll kill him immediately. After saying that, the Stone of Chaos sneered. He soared into the sky and led the Hundun tribe to the 9 heavens to wait. The surrounding people felt their scalps go numb. The people of the Divine Union had extremely ugly expressions. Damn it, why was he being targeted by such a terrifying expert? At the same time the news spread. The entire saintly origin ancient city was in an uproar. What? Someone had actually come knocking on the Divine Union's door? Furthermore, they were suppressed to the point that they couldn't even lift their heads. Who was so terrifying? Bai Susu had been defeated. The dark red divine dragon had been defeated. Even Shin Jingqiu had been pushed back by a single move. How terrifying was that person? It was someone from the Hundun tribe. Impossible. Could it be that Hun Tian had been resurrected? Exclamations rang out one after another. What had happened here was simply too shocking. It wasn't Hun Tian. It was a piece of rock. A stone of chaos. What? A piece of rock? How could it be so heaven-defying? The Hundun tribe was too terrifying. An older elite said, "This isn't an ordinary rock. I can feel an extremely terrifying aura coming from it. The origin of this rock is definitely extraordinary." Soon news about the Stone of Chaos spread all over the place. Someone said. They had found out that this was the rock beside the Hundun Quasi-Emperor. It had accompanied the Hundun Quasi-Emperor for many years and had a trace of the Hundun Quasi-Emperor's aura. Heavens, no wonder he was so powerful. Anything related to the Hundun Quasi-Emperor was extremely terrifying. Even Shin Jingqiu had been defeated. It turned out that it was the rock beside the Hundun Quasi-Emperor. Was this rock here to avenge Hun Tian? He was challenging Lin Wudi. There had been no news of Lin Wudi for 3 years. If he didn't appear in 10 days, the Divine Union would probably be finished. No one could withstand a single attack from the Stone of Chaos. In an instant, countless people were shocked. The news spread throughout the entire buried Emperor Star and even out into the universe. People from the 10,000 Dragon Court, Purple Mansion, and Destiny Gemini race laughed heartily when they heard this. They had previously attacked the Divine Union but had returned empty-handed. They hadn't expected that the Divine Union would be in such a crisis now. Great. Let's go and watch. They all headed over. When necessary, they could provide help to the Hundun race. When Xiang Daozong and the others heard this, their faces turned gloomy. The savage desolation ancestor walked out, suppressing heaven and earth. The divine ancestor of the Hundun race had indeed said that their Lord Stone of Chaos was only going to challenge Lin Wudi. They didn't want a war between the sections. Of course, if you attack, the Hundun race won't be afraid. His voice was extremely sonorous. The 10,000 Dragon Court, Golden Crow race, Purple Mansion, and the others all rushed over to watch. In an instant, the situation became dangerous. The ancestral ancestor's face turned gloomy. They really couldn't attack. This was because once they attacked, it would become a battle between dozens of ancient families. Extreme weapons appeared once again and the outcome would be difficult to determine. Lin Xian, where are you? Have you heard the news? Come back quickly. The savage desolation ancestor and the others were anxious. The people from the 10,000 Dragon Court sneered. I think that Lin Wudi doesn't even dare to come back. The people from the Purple Mansion snorted. Perhaps he had already died. The people from the Golden Crow race snorted. If he dared to come, he would definitely be killed by the Stone of Chaos. This was a stone with the might of a boundary emperor. These people all had a grudge against Lin Xian. Now that they saw this scene, they naturally mocked and ridiculed. They even hoped that Lin Xian would come out. Then he would be suppressed. What should they do? The people from the Divine Union were also panicking. The Longevity Hall and the Dugu family were also anxious. Was young Master Lin okay? The dark red dragon said. Don't worry, he will definitely come. He had already sent a message to Lin Xian. At the same time, Yen Ruyu, Murong Qingqing, and the others arrived one after another. They were all waiting. In the blink of an eye, 5 days passed. On this day in the universe's quintessential world, another piece of news came. It swept across the universe. Chapter 53-26. Lin Xian had come out of seclusion and subdued the 9-star Immortal Foundation. He had killed Chenmu, Kai Ling Yi and Bing Long. He had killed the new Hall Master of the 9-star Immortal Foundation. He had gained complete control of the Immortal Foundation. This news was like a storm that swept across the world. When those people heard it, they were all dumbfounded. This wasn't the first time Lin Xian had killed a young powerhouse. However, he had killed another Hall Master of the Immortal Foundation and subdued it. This was too shocking. That was an Immortal Foundation, an overlord sect. Now it had also submitted to Lin Wuti? In an instant the crowd was in an uproar. Could it be that he had used the Boundary Emperor's corpse again? This was because the previous Hall Master of the 9-star Immortal Foundation had been killed by the Boundary Emperor's corpse. However, when the news spread, it was shocking. Lin Wuti hadn't used the Boundary Emperor's corpse at all, nor had he used any extreme weapons. Instead, he had killed the Hall Master with his own strength. When this news spread, everyone was even more shocked. The new Hall Master of the 9-star Immortal Foundation was also a divine ancestor. Now, Lin Xian could already kill a divine ancestor with his own strength? His strength was even stronger than it had been 3 years ago. Countless people were terrified. The faces of the 10,000 Dragons Imperial Court, Zifu, and the others turned ugly. Not only had Lin Wuti not died, but he had become even stronger. This made them grit their teeth in anger. At the same time, the people of the Divine Union cheered. This was great. Their Alliance Master Lin was still alive. Moreover, he had become even more terrifying. As long as Alliance Master Lin arrived, all the dangers would be resolved. There were even some experts who were looking forward to it. Lin Wuti was incomparably terrifying and the Chaos Stone had an extraordinary origin. Both of them were super experts. The battle between the two of them would definitely be very exciting. They couldn't miss it. In an instant, everyone headed towards the buried Emperor's star. At this moment, all the experts and geniuses in the universe moved. Previously, when Lin Xian and Hun Tian fought, some people didn't get to see it, which made them feel regretful. Now that there was a Chaos Stone that was even stronger than Hun Tian, they naturally wouldn't miss it. Moreover, they knew that this would definitely be a life-and-death battle. Because the two sides were sworn enemies. One figure after another rose into the sky. In the starry sky of the universe, there was a person who was surrounded by extremely terrifying lightning. It was like the birth of the thunder god, stepping over thousands of miles. Running amok in the universe. It was shocking. On the other side there was someone holding a large black banner. He was like a demonic god as he moved out, leaving everyone horrified. There were also people who were surrounded by flames, as if the god of fire had descended. These experts all headed towards the buried Emperor's star. For a moment, those who were hurrying through the universe were also alarmed. Damn it! Why were these people's auras so powerful? Why do I feel like they're even more terrifying than the sacred ancestor? More importantly, these people looked very young. Could this be one of those legendary experts who managed to remove the seal? Were all these people there to watch Lin Wuti fight? Everyone was even more shocked. When the news spread, countless people were in an uproar and even more people went. Lin Wuti had become even stronger than before. The Chaos Stone carried the aura of a quasi-emperor. The two of them were extremely terrifying even among the Double Crown champions. They wondered if they had any hope of getting close to the Triple Crown champion. Hearing the words Triple Crown champion, everyone was shocked. Double Crown champions were already very rare, let alone Triple Crown champions. Currently, no Triple Crown champion had appeared. There was only one legend, which was that there was a Triple Crown champion in the Purple Mansion realm. However, no one was sure if it really existed. However, once such a person appeared, even among the Sacred Lords, they could sweep through everything. The older Sacred Lords also felt the danger. Endless good and evil auras gathered in the Destiny Twins. Among them, a middle-aged man had a cold expression. It was impossible for Lin Wuti to become the Triple Crown champion. How many Sacred Lords had failed to achieve the title of Triple Crown champion, let alone him? It was certain that he would never be able to achieve it in his lifetime. The surrounding elders nodded in agreement. They even felt that Lin Wuti might be killed by the Chaos Stone. Had Brother Lin become even stronger? In the Yi family, Yi Wudao's eyes flickered. Let's go and watch this battle. The Yi family cultivators behind him also gasped. This Lin Wudi was really something. If anyone could break through the Triple Crown champion first, it was very likely that he would. Wudao, after this battle, you will have to use the things left behind by the heavens and earth. The Yi family elders had solemn expressions. I know you are proud and don't want to rely on external forces. However, this is a golden era. Countless experts have gathered in this era. In fact, there are even experts from tens of thousands of years ago who have come out. Another elder said, yes, this thing was left behind by our heavenly emperor for the descendants of the Yi family. It doesn't matter if you use it. Yi Wudao took a deep breath and said, I understand. I will consider using it. Hearing this, the Yi family elders laughed. That's great. Yi Wudao was just a young powerhouse. He was still a distance away from the Double Crown champion, but they weren't too worried. After all, their Yi family's foundation was very strong. Their Yi family had once produced an emperor. Moreover, he was an extremely terrifying existence among emperors. He was known as the Heavenly Emperor. After the heavens and earth of the Yi family ascended, they left behind several treasures. In addition to the emperor's ancient scriptures and extreme weapons, there were other treasures. They were prepared for the descendants who had a chance of becoming emperors. Yi Wudao had always wanted to rely on his own strength to break through, so he didn't use these things. But now he was finally going to use them. Once he did, his strength would undergo an earth-shaking transformation. At that time, becoming the Double Crown champion wouldn't be a problem at all. He might even become the Triple Crown champion. This was the reason why they were so confident. Elsewhere, in Fire Qilin Cave, Fire Qilin Z's expression turned cold after hearing the news. You're not dead yet? He furrowed his brows tightly. This time I will watch you fall with my own eyes. He gritted his teeth. Others like Kunping Z and Gu Feng also made their move. There was another person in the universe. This person was living in seclusion on a desolate planet. Currently, endless black vortexes were churning around him. At the same time, a monster flew over from afar. The monster respectfully prostrated on the ground and told the figure what had happened in the universe. After hearing this, Yao Guang narrowed her eyes. The Chaos Stone and Lin Wudi are going to fight? I'm looking forward to it. Unfortunately, I don't have time to care about them. Go watch the battle and tell me the result. With that, the monster soared into the sky and flew into the distance. Yao Guang continued her seclusion. In her black vortex, a corpse was constantly bobbing up and down. It was the chaos body. Now it was being devoured. Once it was completely devoured, it would possess the power of the chaos body. Chapter 53:27. On the 10th day, the Holy Abyss City on the buried Emperor Star was bustling with noise and excitement. This was because countless powerhouses had arrived. Heavens, that must be Kunping Z. He actually came too. Not only that, but the Fire Qilin also came. Apart from them, Gu Feng, Yi Wudao and the others had also arrived. These were all young powerhouses and there was even a Double Crown champion. It was very difficult for so many people to gather together. Only Lin Wudi could do so. Let's go to the Divine Union and see if Lin Wudi had returned. These people walked towards the city gate. The Divine Union was also surrounded by people. The people from the Divine Union felt immense pressure and retreated back into the main hall. Before long, these people walked out again. This time, Murong Qingqing, Shinjingqiu and Yen Ryu took the lead. Next, Bai Susu, the dark red divine dragon and the others also walked out. The injuries on their bodies had all healed. At this moment, their expressions were incomparably serious. Look, Murong Qingqing is here too. That must be Yen Ryu. The two of them are also proud ladies. They had also returned. Had Lin Wudi returned? They quickly searched. However, they realized that Lin Xian was not among these people. Some people sighed. Could Lin Wudi not have arrived yet? Heavens, wasn't he still alive? Why wasn't he here yet? Could it be that he did not dare to participate in this battle? Discussions broke out one after another. Of course, there were also people who were shocked. Although Lin Xian had not come, the strength that the Divine Union had displayed was really too strong. Not to mention the families and sects, just the younger generation alone had Yen Ryu, Murong Qingqing and Shinjingqiu. These three were top-notch proud ladies. Apart from them, there were also young powerhouses like the Dark Red Divine Dragon and Bai Susu. This was something that could not be seen in the monarch race. Ordinary monarch races would not produce any young powerhouses other than nurturing their emperor's sons. However, the Divine Union had so many of them. What was so incredible about this? If they continued to develop in the future, they might even surpass the emperor clans. No wonder the Wonton clan wanted to make a move. No one dared to let such a force exist. Boom, boom. Between heaven and earth, tens of thousands of thunders sounded, as if it was going to destroy the world. Everyone felt their scalps go numb. They could feel that the power of this thunder was extremely terrifying. Those saints looked as though they were facing a great enemy. Their faces were filled with despair while their bodies were trembling. Even the pupils of the saint ancestors shrank. Who was it? Had a terrifying lightning Dao expert arrived? In the next moment, a figure descended from the sea of lightning. He said loudly, "Looks like I'm not too late." This was a very handsome man wearing armor. Thunder surrounded his body. It was as if the god of thunder had descended. He stood there and looked down in all directions. At this moment, the young powerhouses and the older generation sacred masters all felt immense pressure. Who was this person? How could it be so terrifying? Gu Feng, Kun Pingzi, and the others' expressions changed drastically. Their strength was simply unable to contend against the other party. Even the fire Qilin's pupils shrank as a terrifying light burst out from his eyes. The Qilin bloodline in his body erupted, sweeping across the 9 heavens. King, this was a double crown king. He was really too surprised. He didn't expect that other than Hun Tian, there would be another double crown king. Could it be one of those legendary people? Heavens, he should be the legendary sleeping powerhouse, the Thunder King. He actually came too. This was a double crown king. Exclamations of surprise sounded one after another. Thunder King. The double crown king, a genius who had been sleeping for 20,000 years, had finally awakened in this era. Moreover, he had arrived. The other party's thunder power was extremely terrifying. It was a violent and destructive power. The other party didn't do anything. He just stood there and everyone felt as if they were facing a great enemy. One could imagine that when the other party attacked, it would be an earth-shattering power. The Thunder King stood in the void and looked in all directions. When he saw that those young people couldn't contend with him at all, the corners of his mouth curled up into a smile. However, he soon stared at the fire Qilin Z, and a trace of a biting cold light burst out from his eyes. Emperor's son? He could actually become the double crown king. He was very strong. He was very interested in the fire Qilin, but he didn't make a move. He still stood in the void. The fire Qilin's face turned cold. He also felt a huge pressure. However, he was very confident in himself. He wasn't just the double crown king. More importantly, he was the emperor's son. His bloodline was extraordinary and he could sweep through everything. With a cold snort, the Qilin bloodline in his body became even more terrifying. Monstrous flames swept across the 9 heavens. At this moment, another voice came from the void. Fire Qilin, the emperor's bloodline. Let me see if your bloodline is more powerful. Or my flames are more powerful. As the voice fell, the entire sky turned into a sea of fire. The surrounding people were frightened and their faces turned pale. Even the sacred ancestors were as if they were facing a great enemy. They felt as if they were about to be burned. Who was it? The pupils of the Qilin race's powerhouses constricted. The fire Qilin roared and the Qilin phantom rushed into the sky. In the next moment, a woman walked out from the sky. The woman was extremely beautiful, and the flames on her body were monstrous. She looked like a goddess of fire. Her aura was not weaker than the fire Qilin's at all. Heavens, to be able to compete with the Qilin sun, she was also a double crown king. She was Yan Xiang. She was a peerless genius from 30,000 years ago who had fused with the divine flames of heaven and earth. Countless people exclaimed. The people of the fire Qilin cave were as if they were facing a great enemy. The fire Qilin's face was also extremely cold. He could feel that the flames on her body were extremely shocking. Yan Xiang glanced at the fire Qilin, and then looked at the chaos stone in the distance. Then she also stood in the sky. Then the sky turned dark. A large flag suppressed the world, and the entire sky seemed to be about to shatter. Everyone was terrified. Had another expert arrived? Who was it this time? It was He Qi, a figure from 30,000 years ago. The black flag in his hand had killed countless powerhouses. It was said that several sacred ancestors had died in his hands. Upon hearing this, even the divine ancestor powerhouses had ugly expressions on their faces. This person was a terrifying god of slaughter. After He Qi arrived, he stared at the chaos stone. He narrowed his eyes. The aura around the quasi-emperor was a little interesting. The other young giants and powerhouses of the older generation were as if they were facing a great enemy. There had already been 3 double crown kings, and each of them was earth-shattering. The strength of these people was unfathomable. They wondered if there were still people in hibernation. At this moment, the void in the distance broke open, and a spirit ship flew over. There were many figures standing on it. It was the people of the Purple Mansion. Someone exclaimed. They looked over. The Purple Mansion master stood in front, and behind him were the 9 successors. Other than that, there were also some people who were very unfamiliar, but the aura on their bodies was incomparably terrifying. They were probably also people who were in hibernation. Although they could not be compared to the Double Crown Kings, they were still extremely terrifying. Something's not right. Suddenly, a sacred lord exclaimed. Look at that person, the aura on his body is incomparably terrifying. Chapter 53:28. The moment he said that, everyone looked over. In the next instant they gasped. They hadn't paid much attention to this figure previously because it was very faint, like a shadow standing there. At first no one noticed it. However, when they looked carefully, they realized that it wasn't the case at all. The entire situation had changed. Although the leader of the Purple Mansion sect was on the spirit boat, the Purple Mansion sect wasn't the most important. The most important thing was that this shadow-like man was the core of the entire lineup. It was rumored that there was a Triple Crown champion in the Purple Mansion sect. Could it be him? Heavens, once such a person appeared, no one would be able to contend against him. At this moment, everyone was stunned. The Thunder Emperor, Heichi, burning incense, and the others all looked over. The Fire Qilin and the others were even more nervous. However, they soon realized that it wasn't the case. Burning Incense shook his head. It wasn't the aura of a Triple Crown champion. It was still a Double Crown champion. The other sacred masters also realized that it was true. Although the shadow-like person was terrifying, he hadn't reached the level of a Triple Crown champion. However, even so, it was terrifying enough. This Double Crown champion was a terrifying existence. The Purple Mansion sect was indeed impressive. Apart from the Triple Crown champion, there was actually a Double Crown champion. It was really unfathomable. Showing it's actually you? The Thunder Emperor said in a deep voice. Clearly he was also very surprised. I didn't expect that you would also choose to sleep. The others were shocked. They didn't expect that they actually knew each other. It seemed that these Double Crown champions were all related to each other. Xiaoying looked at the Thunder Emperor and nodded slightly. Then he also looked into the distance. Chaos Stone? He narrowed his eyes. Where was Lin Wuti? He looked in all directions. Lin Wuti was a peerless enemy of the Purple Mansion sect. As a member of the Purple Mansion sect, he naturally wanted to take a look. Who exactly was he? He hadn't appeared so far. Xiaoying shook his head slightly. Perhaps he didn't dare to come. The people of the Purple Mansion sect occupied a spot. Soon more people arrived. There were young geniuses, old divine ancestors, and strong people. More and more people arrived, but Lin Wuti still hadn't appeared. Someone frowned. Could it be that Lin Wuti was too scared to come? Even the members of the Divine Union were extremely worried. Murong Qingqing said, "Don't worry, Big Brother Shen will definitely come." After waiting for about half a day, suddenly, countless terrifying sword chi came from afar. Then a figure walked over in the air. He was like a sword god that had descended. Countless people turned to look at him. What a terrifying aura. Heavens, who is it? They saw a man standing with his hands behind his back amidst the sword chi that filled the sky. The sword shadows on his body were extremely terrifying. It's him. Lin Wuti. He really came. Exclamations of surprise could be heard. At this moment, the surrounding people all raised their heads to look at the sky, their eyes bursting with a sharp light. The chaos stones of the primal chaos tribe soared into the air, releasing a power that could split the heavens and earth apart. Is he here? Murderous intent surged from his body. The people from the Divine Union also stood up. This was great. It was the Union leader. The Alliance Master was finally here. The Nalan clan, Dugu clan, Fire Dragon clan, and the others all laughed. They knew that Lin Shen would definitely come. This was great. This kid had become stronger again. The dark red divine dragon and the others also jumped up in excitement. Indeed, the sword chi on Lin Shen's body was like a star that kept revolving around him. 9 stars aligned. On the other hand, Lin Shen was stepping on the stars like the god of the universe. This kind of vision was really shocking. Why do I feel that this star seems to have been refined from a real world of stars? What exactly has this guy been cultivating for the past 3 years? Everyone was dumbfounded when they saw this scene. Even the divine ancestors were shocked. These 9 stars were really terrifying. This guy's strength had actually become stronger again. Huaqilin's face was extremely cold. He could also feel how terrifying these 9 stars were. On the other side, the Thunder Emperor was also shocked as he stepped on the ground, surrounded by lightning. Was this Lin Wuti? He was indeed valiant and even more terrifying than the legend said. The other Double Crown champions also looked extremely solemn. The younger generation would surpass them in time. Although they were not from this era, they did not expect that there would be such a shocking person in this era. It was indeed worthy of being called the Golden Age. On the side of the Purple Mansion, the 9 successors were also shocked. The Purple Mansion master also looked solemn as he looked at Xiaoying and said, "What do you think of him?" Xiaoying said that he was indeed a peerless genius. His 9 stars borrowed the power of the universe, which was incomparably vast. In addition, he had many unique skills and divine abilities before this. He was a peerless enemy. Hearing this, the people of the Purple Mansion were also shocked. Xiaoying was their sleeping Double Crown champion who was extremely terrifying. Now that even he said so, it was enough to show how terrifying Lin Xian was. It seemed that the peak battle was about to arrive. Let's retreat out of the formation. These people retreated one after another. At the same time, the entire ancient city lit up with the formation. It guarded the buildings and palaces below. The people of the Hun Dun clan also quickly retreated to a safe place. Only a figure was left. It was the Chaos Stone. He was still there. Lin Xian also turned his head and looked. He also saw the Chaos Stone and closed his eyes. Was it the other party who wanted to challenge him? He did not expect it to be a stone. However, the aura of this stone was very different. He could feel a trace of Emperor's aura from it. Was it someone from the Hun Dun clan? He originally thought that it was an expert of the Hun Dun clan or a divine ancestor. But now it seemed that it was not the case. The aura of the other party was very mysterious. Could it be that the other party was about to become a quasi-emperor? But it should not be. He did not feel that fatal danger. You are the one who wants to challenge me. Tell me your name. I don't kill nameless people. Lin Xian said in a deep voice. Are you Lin Wudi? Sure enough, he was more arrogant than expected. The Chaos Stone also said in a deep voice. I am a stone that separated heaven and earth. I have always stayed in the Hun Dun clan and can be considered a member of the Hun Dun clan. Lin Wudi, how dare you kill an exceptional genius of the Hun Dun clan? How do you want to die? Lin Xian snorted coldly. Hun Dun deserved to die. As for you, you are also courting death. How dare you injure a member of the Divine Union? Do you think I will let you off today? Lin Xian was now very strong and his Rinnegan was even more terrifying. After arriving, he glanced at the Divine Union and discovered that Bai Susu and the Dark Red Dragon were injured. Furthermore, the aura of the primal chaos on them was very strong. Naturally, he was angry because of the aura of this stone. Today you will fall here. I will let everyone know that the Divine Union is not to be challenged. Lin Xian exuded a strong domineering aura. Chapter 53-29. Lin Xian's sword Qi soared into the sky, and the 9 stars behind him rotated slowly. Then, a sword slashed down like a star descending from the universe. It carried a vast amount of power as it charged forward. What a terrifying power of heaven and earth. What kind of sword technique was this? The Thunder King was shocked when he felt the power of the universe. You're courting death. Today is the day you die. The Stone of Chaos roared. He was here to denounce Lin Xian, but the other party threatened to kill him the moment he arrived. How could he tolerate this? The chaotic aura on his body condensed and turned into a bolt of chaotic lightning that charged forward. This chaotic lightning carried the power to open up the universe and it was very fast. In an instant, it reached the front and collided with the Starry Sky Sword technique. With a clang, the starlight in the sky shook. However, Lin Xian's sword technique was terrifying. It had the power to destroy everything. It also had the vastness of the universe. Under the sword, the chaotic lightning was bent. Seeing that it was about to shatter, the Stone of Chaos roared and the chaotic lightning on his body became even more terrifying. It charged forward. It formed a chaotic net that enveloped the Starry Sky Sword Qi. Finally, it sealed the sky and then the two dissipated. Hundreds of black holes appeared in the sky, floating up and down, connecting to the starry sky outside. The surrounding people were shocked. A simple move from the two of them had the power to open up the universe. The young giants were terrified. They were no match for them at all. Even the other sacred lords sucked in a breath of cold air, because they realized that the two of them were not weaker than them at all. Even if they encountered such an attack, they would have to go all out. The two of them did not attack immediately after their attacks disappeared. Instead, they stared at each other. At this moment, Lin Xian moved again. With a wave of his arm, the starry sword Qi in the sky descended again. This time, it was even more terrifying. It was as if it had turned into a starry sky map that was vast and intertwined. These 9 stars were obtained by Lin Xian when he was comprehending in the core of the 9-star immortal platform. At the same time, he also created the Starry Sky Sword technique. At this moment, the power was boundless. The entire Starry Sky map was completely formed by sword chi. It was indestructible and enveloped down. The chaotic light that filled the sky kept shattering. The surrounding people gasped. The Stone of Chaos was also extremely shocked. With a cold snort, he leaped into the air and charged forward. Its origin was not ordinary. It was a stone left behind when the world was created. Then he was brought along by the Quasi-Emperor's side all year round, constantly being polished. His body was truly terrifying. Even compared to the chaotic body, it was even stronger. It was the strongest weapon in itself, so at this moment he turned into a stream of light and charged forward. When Leaf Doudenier saw what was happening, he couldn't help but cry out in shock. What a powerful body. It seemed to surpass the primal chaos body. His saint body was on par with the 9-yang divine body, ranked behind the primal chaos body. But now, a stone was stronger than the chaotic body. How could he not be shocked? The Fire Chilant's expression was also solemn. If he were to face this attack, he would probably have to use all of his bloodline power. Otherwise, it would be difficult for him to resist. How did that Lin Wuti block it? The 9-yang divine body could not block it at all. Will the opponent use Rinnegan? Once that power was used, it would be difficult for him to use it again in a short period of time. If this Chaos Stone had another trump card, Lin Shen would really be in danger. Boom. The Chaos Stone was like a hot knife through butter. It charged forward and crashed into the Starry Sky map, piercing through it. Then it quickly charged towards Lin Shen. This scene made countless people cry out in shock. Boom. A huge spatial crack appeared in the void. It was incomparably terrifying. The power that it emitted made the surrounding people vomit blood and retreat. Not good. They quickly fled. Even the divine ancestors were shocked. They opened their saint domains to block the remaining power. One could imagine that if they were hit directly, they would probably be pierced through immediately. Facing such an attack, Lin Shen did not dodge at all. Instead, he continued to wave his arm. The 9 stars in the sky continued to revolve. Then they formed a straight line, as if they had turned into a starry divine sword that slashed down. 9 stars aligned. The vast sword chi collided with the Chaos Stone. In the next moment, the front was swallowed by a black hole. It was incomparably black like a giant abyss beast. The terrifying power rushed into the 9 heavens. The starry sky in the outer realm was torn to pieces. The surroundings were shocked. Fortunately, there was an array formation here. Otherwise, this attack would have turned Saint Origin Ancient City into ashes. More and more black holes appeared in the sky, swallowing the 2 of them. Everyone widened their eyes. Did Lin Wuti block this attack? Could his sword chi hurt the Chaos Stone? Everyone was very curious. In the next moment they saw a stone flying out. It was the Chaos Stone. He was sent flying. Was he injured? Everyone looked over and found that there were no cracks on the Chaos Stone. This shocked them. On the other side, Lin Shen charged out of the black hole. At this moment, the starlight on his body disappeared and was replaced by pitch-black demonic chi. His palm formed a demonic seal and charged forward. At this moment, it turned into a demon god. The Chaos Stone roared and formed a chaotic vortex that charged forward. The 2 collided and retreated. Lin Shen charged forward again. At this moment, a demonic face formed on the seal. It was abnormally ferocious. There was a loud boom. The Chaos Stone collided with it and was shaken. The 2 of them retreated again. Lin Shen charged forward again. This time it formed demonic horns. For the 3rd move, it formed demonic wings. The demonic pattern on the demon god seal became more and more realistic. At the 5th move, it finally sent the Chaos Stone flying. At this moment, the void behind the Chaos Stone turned into nothingness. Everyone was shocked to see this. The Fire Chilan looked solemn. The Chaos Stone would probably not be able to hold on for much longer. Although his physique was strong, it was not invincible. Lin Wuti's seal was really terrifying. This should be the arch mystique. Lin Shen attacked again. This time, 4 demonic patterns appeared on the demon god seal. Each of them was lifelike and revolved around the demon god seal. It was earth-shattering and its power increased by several times. In the next moment, the Chaos Stone was sent flying. The chaos light on it dimmed a little. The people of the Chaos tribe became nervous when they saw this. The people of the Divine Union cheered. This was great. The Chaos Stone roared and charged forward once again. Its body continued to expand as though it had turned into a chaos millstone. It spun continuously and crushed the world. Suddenly, the universe was shattered and the surrounding people were sent flying while vomiting blood. Some people's bodies cracked under this suppressive power. Damn it! What terrifying power! The Chaos Stone was about to use its ultimate move. Run. In an instant, everyone retreated. Even the sacred tribe members felt their blood boiling. Some of them even vomited blood. Chapter 53:30. Facing such a terrifying attack, Lin Xian's expression was also extremely solemn. In the next moment he attacked. Demon God Sword. The black demon sword descended from the sky and flickered in the air. It was also a powerful Great Emperor divine ability in the Illusion Demon scripture. This sword seemed to have transformed into a demonic dragon and collided with the Chaos Millstone tens of thousands of times in an instant. Countless cracks were left in the sky. The two kept colliding, fighting from the sky to the nine heavens. Lin Xian's swordsmanship was terrifying. As he moved, the void shattered continuously. One could imagine how terrifying this sword chi was. At the same time, his left hand used the demon god finger again. He pointed out with his finger. It charged towards the chaos stone like a meteor shower. An earth-shattering sound was heard. With a boom, the chaos stone was sent flying again. The chaos millstone was suppressed. This peerless divine ability that could shatter the universe couldn't do anything to Lin Wuti? Everyone was shocked. Lin Xian pointed his sword forward. What other methods did he have? Show them all. The chaos stone flew over from afar. The chaotic aura on his body became more and more terrifying. Chaos Heaven transformation. At this moment he was no longer a millstone that destroyed the world. Instead he had transformed into a world. He pressed towards Lin Xian. This power was even more terrifying than before. Lin Xian snorted coldly. His eyes flickered with extremely terrifying reincarnation power. 6 paths of reincarnation. Heavenly Tao, Hand of Heaven. The illusion of the 6 paths of reincarnation appeared. At the same time, a huge hand descended from the 9 heavens. This hand seemed to represent the heavenly Tao. This strike pierced through the sky and directly pierced through the chaotic sky. In the next moment, the chaos stone was pressed to the ground by this palm. With a boom, the entire Holy Abyss ancient city shook violently. The nearby array formation shattered, and the blood of the surrounding people surged. They looked at this scene in disbelief. Was it suppressed? This was too shocking. Every divine ability that was displayed by the Chaos Stone was incomparably terrifying. The other sacred ancestors were no match for it. However, after encountering Lin Wuti, they were always at a disadvantage. Even now, Lin Wuti had broken many of their divine abilities and suppressed them with a single palm. At this moment, the faces of the divine ancestors turned ugly. Lin Wuti had already grown to this extent? Even the Chaos Stone was no match for him. Who would be able to suppress him then? It would be difficult for the other Double Crown champions. Could it be that only the Triple Crown champions would be able to suppress him? In the era when the Triple Crown King did not appear, the other party was a supreme being. Those from the Purple Mansion had ugly expressions on their faces. Those from the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty were grinding their teeth so hard that they almost broke. The people of the Primal Chaos race roared even louder. They couldn't believe it. Even the Primal Chaos Stone had been defeated? On the other side, the members of the Divine Union cheered excitedly. Great, young Master Lin was invincible. He won. Bai Susu and the others chuckled as well. The corner of Murong Qingqing's mouth raised. Brother Xian's strength had become even stronger than before. Regardless of whether it was his soul or his swordsmanship, both had risen to a whole new level. Was he already this terrifying? Kun Pingzi was shocked. Gu Feng's expression was even more solemn, while Qilin's face was incomparably gloomy. But at this moment, his brows twitched. No, it's not sealed. I can feel an even stronger chaos energy. Just as he finished speaking, the ground below split open, and a figure charged up into the air. He was out. The people of the Primal Chaos race rejoiced. The others also exclaimed. Had he not been defeated yet? It seemed like they had underestimated the Primal Chaos Stone. At this moment, the Primal Chaos Stone had transformed into its normal form, floating up and down between heaven and earth. Countless great Daos intertwined on it. At the same time, a figure sat cross-legged on it. It was an extremely hazy figure. This figure's face couldn't be seen clearly, but the aura it carried had a trace of Emperor's might. Everyone was shocked. This was the figure of a Boundary Emperor. That's right. The Primal Chaos Stone carried the cultivation of a Boundary Emperor. After so many years, it had long left the imprint of a Boundary Emperor. Now it had used the imprint. It carried an unparalleled Emperor's might that was above all saints. At this moment, even the sacred race was terrified. It seemed like they were being suppressed. The primal chaos stone gritted its teeth and said, Lin Wudi, I have indeed underestimated you. You actually managed to suppress me. But it's a pity that you will still be defeated in this battle. I use the might of a boundary emperor. It's not something you can imagine. Unless the Triple Crown King comes today, no one else is my match. A cold voice spread in all directions. The other Double Crown Kings also frowned. The phantom of a boundary emperor carried an unparalleled emperor's might. It was indeed a fatal threat to them. Was this the primal chaos stone's strongest trump card? Lin Xian also narrowed his eyes. The phantom of a boundary emperor? So what? I can only say that you are not qualified to kill me. Stupid thing, I will let you know what despair is. The primal chaos stone snorted coldly, and the aura on its body became even more terrifying. At the same time, the figure sitting cross-legged on top of him extended a hand and made a grabbing motion. The hand of the primal chaos god. This attack could turn heaven and earth upside down. Its power made the sacred lords tremble. It was too powerful. Was this the power of a boundary emperor? It definitely surpassed everything. How was Lin Wudi going to block it? The Fire Qilin laughed when it saw this scene. The 10,000 dragons greeting Long Wu and the others said, if Lin Wudi uses an extreme weapon or the boundary emperor corpse, we will directly use the 10,000 dragons portrait. I will also contact the Gu clan and the others to use extreme weapons together. At that time he will definitely die without a burial ground. Obviously these people had already decided. As long as Lin Xian used an extreme weapon, they would definitely not hold back. Facing the attack of the boundary emperor phantom, Lin Xian stood there without moving. He did not use the heaven-devouring jar, but the demonic qi on his body became even more terrifying. At the same time, a boundary emperor phantom also appeared behind him. Then it pointed a finger over. This finger pierced through the sky. Everyone felt as if time was flowing backward, as if the primordial era had descended. With a clang the two collided. They were evenly matched. With the two of them as the center, the entire sky split into two. Did they block it? Countless people were shocked. The people of the primal chaos race did not dare to believe it. The dark red divine dragon and the others were even more shocked. They knew how terrifying the boundary emperor phantom summoned by the demon summoning scripture was. The chaos stone was also shocked. It seems that your emperor's ancient scripture is extraordinary. It can actually summon a boundary emperor phantom. But so what? Your emperor is already dead, but my boundary emperor is still alive. No matter how powerful a dead person was, he could not be compared to a living person. The chaos stone had unlimited confidence. The boundary emperor phantom that he summoned was a living boundary emperor. The aura that had been left on him for thousands of years was the strongest. It was far from what the other party's cultivation technique could compare to. Thinking of this, the chaos stone shouted coldly. The boundary emperor phantom on his back attacked again. One palm strike after another, shaking heaven and earth. Chapter 53:31. The demonic qi on Lin Xian's body surged into the sky, forming an extremely terrifying defensive shield. It blocked these terrifying attacks. At the same time he said coldly, it's just an illusion of a quasi-emperor. Whether it's alive or dead, it can't be compared to a true great emperor. Next I'll let you know what the true might of a great emperor is. Lin Xian formed a seal with his palm and activated the illusion demon scripture stone to the extreme. At this moment, the demonic shadow behind him became more and more realistic, as if it had crossed through time and space. The 9 heavens and 10 lands were shaking and everyone was about to crawl. This power was too terrifying. They looked ahead, their faces full of shock. The Fire Qilin roared angrily and used his imperial bloodline with all his might. The other Double Crown champions also used their methods. They looked at the demonic shadow in horror. Boom. In the next moment, the demonic shadow attacked. He took the demonic sword in Lin Xian's hand and slashed forward. With a boom, this sword split heaven and earth and the universe shattered. Nothing could stop it. When the surrounding people saw this scene, they were extremely shocked. Some sacred lords clenched their fists in excitement. This was the real great emperor. Although it was just an illusion, it was a dead illusion. It was definitely terrifying. Nothing could stop them. These people cultivated in pursuit of the supreme realm of a great emperor, but they couldn't even reach the quasi-emperor realm. Now that they saw the might of a great emperor, how could they not be excited? The chaos stone was sent flying, and the quasi-emperor illusion on it also dimmed. It was as if it would disappear at any moment. No. He roared crazily, unable to accept this. The people of the Hun Dun tribe were also extremely nervous. How could this be? Could it be that even the chaos stone couldn't suppress Lin Wudi? The other experts' expressions were even worse. Should they? At this moment they used an extreme weapon to sneak attack Lin Wuti. After all, Lin Wuti was really too powerful now. There weren't many Double Crown champions who could suppress him. Not to mention defeating him. If this continued, no one would be a match for him unless the Triple Crown champions appeared. If he continued to grow, then he would really become a great emperor. Once the other party became the Earth, it would be everyone's nightmare. All of them who were his enemies would probably be reduced to ashes. Damn it. The Stone of Chaos roared and pushed with all its might, causing the figure of the quasi-emperor to appear once again. Lin Xian shook his head. The difference between a quasi-emperor and a great emperor was only one word, but the difference between them was like heaven and earth. Your phantom shadow is no match for Mo Ying. Furthermore, this demonic shadow is only one of my trump cards. I still have other trump cards that I haven't used yet. Therefore you have lost this battle. Damn it. How many millennia has my image been a quasi-venerate? As for your devil shadow, you were the one who summoned it. I don't believe that your devil shadow can last for long. The Chaos Stone roared furiously. As long as he could hold on, the other party would be powerless. In that case he would win. In the next moment he roared and attacked with all his might. The two phantoms fought. Lin Xian's expression was ice-cold. The demonic god shadow split open the sky, forcing the Chaos Stone to retreat. The next moment, another sword strike shattered the quasi-emperor phantom. The demonic shadow also disappeared. Both sides disappeared at the same time, shocking countless people. However, Lin Xian's expression was incomparably calm. The demonic shadow is gone, but I still have other means. Do you want to experience the power of the Samsara sword? At this point, the power of Samsara in Lin Xian's right eye became extremely terrifying. The souls of the others were suppressed. Legend had it that the Samsara eye could summon the Samsara sword. Previously, when he was fighting Hun Tian, Lin Wuti had summoned the phantom of the Samsara sword. The power of the sword spread throughout the universe. Now, was he going to use such a supreme technique in front of them again? If the Stone of Chaos didn't have any other means, he would probably be defeated. Heavens, who would have thought that the Stone of Chaos, the stone that had accompanied a quasi-emperor all year round, would be defeated? Could it be that only a quasi-emperor could kill Lin Wuti? Exclamations rang out one after another. The people of the primal chaos race were also extremely nervous. Did the Stone of Chaos have other means? They didn't know because they usually didn't see the Stone of Chaos at all. The Stone of Chaos's expression was extremely ugly. The quasi-emperor phantom was shattered by the other party. Now that the other party was going to use the Rinnegan, it seemed that he could only use his strongest means. Lin Wuti, I originally didn't want to use this method. But since you're courting death, I'll fulfill your wish. Hearing this, everyone was shocked. The Stone of Chaos still had other means? What was it? They all widened their eyes and looked carefully. Some blood-colored marks suddenly appeared on the Stone of Chaos, then condensed into a drop of blood. It spun in the air. The 9 heavens and 10 lands were shattering. The surrounding people also felt as if they were struck by lightning. The blood of a quasi-emperor. The Stone of Chaos actually contained the blood of a quasi-emperor? It was too unbelievable. Countless people roared in horror. A drop of the blood of a saint could break the sky and turn people below the saint level into ashes. And a drop of the blood of a quasi-emperor could destroy countless worlds. A quasi-emperor was an existence that completely surpassed the divine ancestor. A drop of blood was enough to kill everything. The blood of a quasi-emperor spun in the air with a mysterious aura. The Stone of Chaos shook violently. He said coldly, "You can die in peace now." He knew that no one could stop the son-in-law of a quasi-emperor. Lin Xian's expression also became incomparably solemn. He also felt the danger. This quasi-emperor's blood was enough to tear his 9 yang divine body into pieces. He no longer delayed and used the Rinnegan with all his might. In the sky, an eye of reincarnation appeared, looking down on the common people. In that eye there was a sword shadow. The moment he appeared, everyone felt the power of reincarnation. It was too unbelievable. Was this the sword of reincarnation? Although it was only an illusion of the sword of reincarnation, it was already incomparably terrifying. Lin Xian roared, his face pale. With his strength he could only use the sword of reincarnation once. He would not hold back. The illusion of reincarnation in the sky slashed down from the sky, and the surrounding people all retreated frantically. If they were hit, the 6 paths of reincarnation would no longer exist. The Stone of Chaos roared angrily, "Kill!" He controlled the quasi-emperor's blood and charged out. A drop of blood was not even the size of a fingernail, but no one dared to underestimate the power it carried. Boom. Finally, the two collided in the air, setting off a monstrous storm. Half of it turned into a sea of blood, surging wildly. The other half was the 6 paths of reincarnation, and the two forces were in a stalemate. The stone of chaos roared crazily, "Kill! Kill!" The terrifying quasi-emperor's blood erupted, forming a monstrous sea of blood that swept forward. It engulfed the sword of reincarnation. On the other hand, the sword of reincarnation was like a giant dragon, directly shattering everything. The two sides clashed again, and the vast power engulfed everything. At this moment, everyone was pushed far away. Even the sacred lords and the double crown king were shocked. Chapter 53:32. I think the quasi-emperor blood should be more powerful, the sacred master said. Indeed, that was the blood of a quasi-emperor. If Lin Xian used the heaven-devouring jar, he might be able to contend against it. However, it might not be the case if he used the reincarnation sword. That was not the real reincarnation sword, but an illusion summoned by the Rinnegan. No matter how powerful it was, it could not be stronger than the blood of a quasi-emperor. The other powerhouses also thought so. After all, a quasi-emperor was too terrifying. At this moment, the wind and clouds in front suddenly changed. Everyone felt that something was wrong with the power. All of them looked forward. The next moment their eyes widened. How was that possible? These people were stunned. The sacred ancestors were terrified, and even the double crown king sucked in a breath of cold air. Because the beautiful figure in the sky had already transformed into a 6 paths of reincarnation. The chaos stone was covered in cracks, and the quasi-emperor blood had already disappeared. The chaos aura on the chaos stone also became stronger and stronger. In the next moment, it turned into a pile of useless rocks. You can actually reincarnate me. I'm not willing. The chaos stone let out a final roar. In the next moment, it scattered on the ground and danced in the wind. Only Lin Xian was left in the world. He stood there like a god. At this moment, everyone looked up. Was he dead? Countless people were shocked. The chaos stone actually shattered. The others were even more shocked. Lin Wudi won again. It was too unbelievable. Was this the power of the reincarnation sword? Although it was just an illusion, it was so terrifying. Even the chaos stone was reincarnated. The divine fire on Xinxiang's body jumped. Her face was full of surprise. On the other side, the Thunder King also gasped. That was the blood of a quasi-emperor. How many worlds could it destroy? But now, it could not even withstand a single blow from Lin Wudi. It was too difficult to kill Lin Wudi. Unless it was a true triple crown king or a quasi-emperor personally made a move. Was he really going to be invincible? Previously, everyone was disdainful of this title, but now they were only shocked. Even those sacred ancestors were terrified. Thinking of the Golden Crow race and Destiny race, the smiles on their faces disappeared. Instead, it was replaced by a hint of ferocity. Who could contend with such a person? Even the newly crowned double champions had grave expressions on their faces. Who would have thought that he would encounter such an expert after waking up from his deep slumber? That's great, big brother Xian. A smile appeared on Murong Qingqing's face. The people from the Divine Union raised their arms and cheered. They had won. They had won. They were really too happy. This battle was extremely important to the three of them. If they were defeated, the Divine Union would be destroyed. But obviously this was impossible. Lin Xian had great strength and defeated his opponent once again. The dark red dragon god laughed heartily. Let's see who dares to challenge us from now on. Indeed, even the Chaos Stone with the Quasi-Emperor blood had been defeated. The other double champion probably wouldn't dare to act rashly. The 10,000 Dragons Imperial Court and the people of the Purple Mansion were also gnashing their teeth. This was their peerless enemy. As long as he was alive, they would not dare to relax for even a single day. The terrifying eye of reincarnation in the sky slowly disappeared. Lin Xian's face was pale. His right eye twitched and the power of reincarnation disappeared. That sword strike had consumed too much of his spirit power. However, he had finally killed this enemy. Lin Xian's gaze swept across the area. The Chaos Stone challenged the Divine Union and injured our members. His death is not to be regretted. If anyone dares to challenge the Divine Union in the future, I will cut them down with my sword. His loud voice spread in all directions, making the scalps of the people around him go numb. Perhaps no one would dare to attack the Divine Union again. How could this be? Lord Chaos Stone. It had actually shattered. The people of the Primal Chaos tribe went crazy. They simply couldn't believe that the Chaos Stone had died. The Chaos Stone had also shattered. Their primal chaos tribe had really suffered a heavy blow. The sacred masters were even more confused. Could it be that even the quasi-emperor blood couldn't do anything to the other party? Lin Xian's expression was cold. The quasi-emperor blood was indeed very frightening. Fortunately, he had used the reincarnation sword and sent the 6 paths of reincarnation into the reincarnation sword. Otherwise, if he had used the great dragon sword, he would have been injured even if he could cut open the quasi-emperor blood. The primal chaos tribe couldn't be underestimated. After all, they had a true quasi-emperor existence. If there had been a few more quasi-emperor blood in this battle, he would have been in danger. Lin Xian's figure descended from the sky and walked towards the Divine Union. The people of the Divine Union cheered. Damn it, let's go. The Purple Mansion Master led his people and left. The 10,000 Dragons Imperial Court also left. The Golden Crow tribe and the Fate tribe also left unwillingly. However, they couldn't do anything. The Thunder Monarch's figure flashed and he turned into a bolt of thunder and disappeared. Burning Incense and the others also returned with the terrifying sky flame. To be honest, they also felt the pressure. Lin Wuti had indeed made them feel like they were facing a great enemy. Of course, there were some people who didn't leave, such as Yi Wudao. He walked over and said, "Brother Lin, congratulations. Your strength has increased greatly again." The Yi family elder also said, "Young Master Lin's sword technique is unparalleled. However, although you defeated the Chaos Stone this time, you still have to be careful. Based on what I know, there is indeed a Triple Crown champion in the Purple Mansion." The Purple Mansion? Lin Xian narrowed his eyes when he heard this. The Yi family's sacred leader nodded. The Triple Crown champion was an even more terrifying existence. It was far from what the Chaos Stone could compare to. Even with the Quasi-Emperor blood, they might not be able to defeat the Triple Crown champion. Hearing this, the surrounding people sucked in a breath of cold air. How terrifying was the Triple Crown champion? Lin Xian's eyes also flickered. Although the Triple Crown champion was in the Purple Mansion, he was still in a deep slumber. Furthermore, he hadn't come out yet. He probably wouldn't come out yet. Besides, give me some time and I can also try for the Triple Crown champion. Lin Xian's eyes were filled with boundless confidence. The Yi family's divine ancestor nodded. Then he said, "It's fine. Wudao will also become stronger in the future. When the time comes, you can join forces." Hearing this, Lin Xian was also surprised. Wudao had a fortuitous encounter? Yi Wudao said, "Brother Lin, I'm afraid I have to go into seclusion for a while. When I come out, I will definitely give you a surprise." After saying that, he waved his hand and left with the Yi family's divine ancestor. Lin Xian was surprised when he heard this. Yen Ryu also walked over. The Yi family was not ordinary. They were extremely terrifying in the Great Emperor family. The Great Emperor of the Yi family was known as the Heavenly Emperor back then. His methods were definitely terrifying. The Yi family must have left behind some trump cards. It was just that Yi Wudao was too proud to use them back then. Now, it seemed that he had to use those trump cards. Lin Xian gasped when he heard this. It seemed that the foundation of the monarch family wasn't just limited to this. He asked, "How is the Heavenly Emperor of the Yi family compared to the Indra of the Yuhua immortal dynasty?" Sakura, he had once seen an illusion that easily suppressed a living quasi-emperor. That was really a domineering aura. Moreover, it was said that the Indra wanted to use his strength to make the entire Yuhua immortal dynasty ascend to immortality. Chapter 53-33. Yen Ryu shook his head and said, "I don't know the details. However, based on the title of the Heavenly Emperor, he might really be someone who could compete with the Sakura." Lin Xian was also surprised when he heard this. He took a deep breath. When would he become an Emperor Lord? Would he have the chance to compete with such a person? Next, Lin Xian gathered the people of the Divine Union. The current Divine Union was much bigger than it had been in the past, so there were countless genius disciples. Lin Xian decided to pass down some mystic techniques to the Divine Union for future generations to cultivate. Although he was a young genius, he wasn't any weaker than the older generation of sacred masters. Furthermore, he possessed the great dragon sword soul that could evolve everything. He had also experienced countless battles, so he was naturally very experienced. Therefore, he could definitely create his own path. Lin Xian created a body tempering technique called the Myriad Flames Body Tempering Technique, which used various kinds of flames to strengthen one's physique. At the same time, he created a type of spiritual essence called the Imperial Spirit Technique. He also left behind a set of sword techniques called the True Spirit Sword Technique. These 3 mystic techniques were very terrifying. The people of the Divine Union were also very excited. They were too strong and they were overjoyed. Lin Xian gathered Bai Susu, the dark red dragon and the others and took out many spirit medicines from the sword world for them to consume. Bai Susu and the others widened their eyes. These spirit medicines. They were really shocked. Where did he get them from? There was a mysterious aura on them. Could he have gotten them from the forbidden death zones? There were no spirit medicines with such power outside. Lin Xian smiled and quickly refined some elixirs to consume. He wanted to become the double champion as soon as possible. Bai Susu, the dark red dragon and the others clenched their fists tightly. Yan Ruyu and Murong Qingqing naturally obtained many of these spirit medicines as well. Their beautiful eyes also flickered with light. Double crown champion? They were looking forward to it. Given their current strength, they were already very close to becoming the double champion. Next, everyone started to cultivate in seclusion in order to become the double champion. Lin Xian also continued to comprehend his 9-star sword art. On the other side, the Yuhua ancient city was also shocked when they received the news. Was Lin Wudi already this terrifying? Those Immortal Foundation experts were shocked. On the other hand, the 9-star Immortal platforms were delighted. They were now standing on the side of the Divine Union. They were naturally happy that Lin Xian was strong. As for the opposing Immortal Foundation experts, their brows were tightly furrowed. The people from the Origin Magnetic Immortal Foundation gritted their teeth. How despicable. Originally, they were planning to find a suitable opportunity to attack Lin Xian again and snatch back their ancestor's corpse. From the looks of it now, it was simply impossible. I can help you. At this moment, a voice rang out. The pupils of the Origin Magnet Palace master shrank. Who was it? The surrounding elders also looked as if they were facing a great enemy. In the next moment, they saw a spatial crack appear in the void. Then, a man dressed in plain clothes walked out. It's you? When they saw the other party, they frowned. You're that Yao Guang? What are you doing here? You want to make a move against us Immortal Foundation experts? They were extremely vigilant. Although they had no enmity with this person, it was rumored that this person cultivated the demonic heaven devouring technique. Naturally, they didn't dare to be careless. Yao Guang said, I'm here to cooperate with you because we have a common enemy. Common enemy? The Hall Master frowned. Are you talking about Lin Wudi? Although you're strong and have cultivated a taboo martial art, you're still no match for Lin Wudi, right? Is that so? You actually dare to look down on me? Yao Guang sneered. In the next moment, an extremely terrifying aura appeared on his body. It was the power of primal chaos, capable of splitting heaven and earth. At this moment, Yao Guang seemed to have turned into the god of primal chaos. A fist was thrown out. The primal chaos hall master roared and struck out with his palm. With a boom, the two collided. They were actually evenly matched. How was this possible? The Origin Magnet Palace master was shocked. You're using the power of primal chaos. How can you possess such power? Could it be that you've swallowed the primal chaos body? They were really too shocked. Some time ago, the corpse of the primal chaos body had disappeared. It had been taken away by a mysterious person. They had countless guesses, but they hadn't expected Yao Guang to have obtained it. And from the looks of it, Yao Guang had already devoured it. Yao Guang was also delighted. This was the power of the primal chaos physique. It was indeed powerful. Now, he had only devoured half of it because the power of this physique was really too strong. This was an extremely strong physique that was ranked in the top 10 in the universe. It was ranked higher than the sacred physique and the 9-yang divine physique. He couldn't completely devour such power in a short time. However, devouring half of it had already caused his strength to undergo an earth-shattering change. When it was completely devoured, he would definitely become the Triple Crown champion. That's right. Yao Guang smiled and nodded. The surrounding elders were shocked. The Origin Magnet Palace master also sucked in a breath of cold air. With such strength, he could definitely compete with Lin Wudi. However, Lin Wudi had the Divine Union behind him. He also had the support of a Boundary Emperor. It was impossible for them to make a move. At this moment, Yao Guang's body emitted a mysterious aura again. It was a vortex with a trace of terrifying emperor's might emerging from it. When this power appeared, the elders all knelt on the ground in fear. The Origin Magnet Palace master's body also trembled. His face was full of fear. This was the might of a Boundary Emperor. Impossible. How do you possess this power? Yao Guang said, no need to guess. I'll tell you, I'm not a Boundary Emperor. However, I also have a Boundary Emperor behind me. Now, do you think I can join forces with you? There was actually a Boundary Emperor behind Yao Guang. The Origin Magnet Palace master was also shocked. He now understood why the other party could obtain the primal chaos physique. It turned out that there was an expert behind him. They said, "Young Master Yaoguang, please forgive us for our previous offense. Please take a seat." They respectfully invited Yaoguang in. Yaoguang's strength was enough to shock them. Now that he had a boundary emperor, he was enough to become their guest of honor. Next, the Origin Magnet Palace Master and a few core elders walked in and conspired with Yaoguang. Yaoguang didn't hide anything from these people. He said, "This boundary emperor of mine is injured and is not in peak condition. Therefore he needs some resources to recover. Of course he won't let you provide it for free. He can pass down some boundary emperor's techniques for your people to cultivate." "Really? That's great. We'll provide the boundary emperor with power." The Origin Magnet Palace Master and the others were also delighted. They wouldn't lose out at all in such a deal. Both sides reached an agreement and prepared to take action. At this moment an old voice sounded. It was the Nine Firmament Boundary Emperor. He said, "When will the dragon transformation trial start?" Hearing this, the Origin Magnet Palace Master's pupils shrank. You know. Chapter 53-34. What was the dragon transformation battle? Even Yao Guang didn't know. However, the pupils of the Elemental Magnet Palace Master shrank, looking shocked. Nine Firmament Quasi-Emperor laughed. "As a Quasi-Emperor, do you think it's possible that I don't even know about the dragon transformation battle?" "That's true." The Elemental Magnet Palace Master nodded. "The dragon transformation battle hasn't started yet, but it's going to start soon." "What was the dragon transformation battle?" Yao Guang asked. She was very confused. The dragon transformation battle was a battle that happened once every 10,000 years. Everyone below the Quasi-Emperor realm could participate. Then, there would be a ranking for the dragon transformation battle. The first place would receive an unparalleled reward. These rewards were left behind by the Great Emperor. Yao Guang was even more shocked after hearing this. She asked, "Why didn't you tell me before?" Nine Firmament Quasi-Emperor said, "Isn't there still time? It's not too late for you to know now." Treasures left behind by the Great Emperor? Yao Guang clenched her fists. Then she had to participate and she had to get first place. "Alright, you guys go and prepare. I'll impart you guys a few ultimate techniques. I'll let you Immortal Foundation experts participate in this battle." "Thank you, Quasi-Emperor." The Immortal Foundation experts were very happy. The Elemental Magnet Palace Master bowed quickly. Those who could participate in the dragon transformation battle were all incredible divine ancestors. This battle was very top-notch. Anyone below the Quasi-Emperor realm could participate. However, one had to at least have the combat strength of a divine ancestor. Also, in the younger generation, if one didn't reach the level of a big shot, they wouldn't be able to participate. At the very least, there was a high chance of winning the double crown. Also, this battle wasn't only suitable for the younger generation. As long as they weren't older than 5,000 years old. After these people left, Nine Firmament Quasi-Emperor said, "You have to be careful. Your enemy isn't just Lin Wudi." "What does that mean?" Yao Guang asked, "Are there others who can threaten me?" Now that he had swallowed the chaos body, his strength had increased greatly. Nine Firmament Quasi-Emperor said, "I wonder if those people from those places will participate?" "If they participate, you have to be very careful." "What are those places?" Yao Guang was curious. Nine Firmament Quasi-Emperor shook his head. "If those people come out, you will know. If they don't come out, there's no need for you to know." As he spoke, his soul appeared and he looked into the distance. No one knew what he was thinking. Yao Guang was astonished. If there was someone who could threaten him, aside from Lin Wudi, it could only be the Triple Crown champion of the Purple Mansion. Other than that, there were also some slumbering double champions. However, he was confident that he could sweep through everything, so he really didn't understand where that place was. For the next period of time, the atmosphere gradually quietened down. The various immortal foundations were already preparing in secret. This was because they knew that the dragon transformation battle was about to begin. It wasn't just them. Those emperor clans and some desolate ancient families were also doing their best to gather people, preparing to participate. Lin Xian began to cultivate. However, on this day a piece of news shocked the Divine Union. It even alarmed Lin Xian. The news came from the Longevity Hall and the Fire God Palace. Because their sects had been attacked, many of them had been injured. There were even elders who had fallen. These people quickly ran away. They fled towards Holy Abyss City. The lifelong Saint Hall leader personally came to inform them that young Master Lin was in trouble. Lin Xian came out of seclusion and asked, "Everyone, what exactly happened?" These were all divine ancestors. How could they be in such a sorry state? The lifelong Saint Hall leader said that a living being came out of Mount Eternal and attacked us. We were no match for it. What? Lin Xin's pupils shrank when he heard this. The others were also shocked. This was impossible. Wasn't Mount Eternal a forbidden land of death? How could someone come out? Could it be that someone was living inside? This was absolutely impossible. They were all crazy. However, the people from the Fire God Palace also came. They had also suffered heavy losses. Not good. No one knew what had happened in Mount Eternal. Many figures came out of it. Everyone's scalp went numb when they heard this. Lin Xin's brows were tightly knitted together. He knew that something had happened in Mount Eternal. It was definitely something he hadn't expected. Let's go and take a look. At this moment, many families and sects in Mount Eternal had been annihilated. Those from the powerful Longevity Palace and Fire God Palace fled at the first moment. However, there was one family that didn't escape. It was the Gu family. The Gu family was also in the nearby area. On this day they also felt as if they were facing a great enemy. Suddenly, a powerful living being came out of Mount Eternal and swept everything away. Many family tablets were destroyed. Moreover, these people were walking towards the Gu family. Some of the Gu family's disciples and elders outside were also attacked. Someone had actually died. In the family, soul tablets were shattered one after another. This made the Gu family furious. The Gu family's patriarch was a middle-aged man. He had a pale face and no beard. He looked like a scholar. However, at this moment he was furious. His body emitted a vast holy aura. Who was it? He brought countless elders and soared into the sky. At the same time, a group of people also appeared outside the Gu family. It was a group of people wearing black robes and black armor. These people had black flames dancing on their bodies. It was abnormally strange. Feeling this terrifying aura, the Gu family's elders felt their scalps go numb. The Gu family's patriarch shouted coldly, "Who are you people? How dare you attack the Gu family? Do you want to die? Is the Gu family very powerful?" The man in front was wearing armor and holding a black spear. He stabbed the spear over. The sky fell and the earth cracked. The Gu family's people were forced to retreat. They quickly tore open the void and fled. At the same time, the Gu family's patriarch shouted angrily, "Activate the void mirror." He naturally felt the danger. The void mirror floated in the sky. Everyone activated it together. It emitted a terrifying aura. The black-armored figures at the front were also frowning. Extreme weapon. You are a great emperor's family. That's right, the Gu family is the descendant of the Void Emperor. A cold snort sounded. The black-armored figures in front were also astonished. Since you are a great emperor's family, we will spare you this time. Let's go. The man in the lead waved his hand. These people turned into black flames and soared into the sky. Did they leave? Seeing these people leave, the Gu family's people heaved a sigh of relief. Great, our great emperor's family is still the most powerful. However, the clan leader of the Gu clan tightly frowned. Where did these people come from? He could only scare these people away by taking out an extreme weapon. If they didn't have an extreme weapon, their country would really be in danger. Moreover, the other party was from Mount Eternal. They had never known that there were living beings in Mount Eternal. What was going on? What happened on Mount Eternal? The elders were also surprised. Suddenly, the Gu family's patriarch's pupils shrank. Could it be? He suddenly turned around, tore open the void, and flew toward the family's ancient palace. Could it be that the patriarch had discovered something? The other elders also followed suit. In the next moment, they arrived at an ancient palace. This was a void palace. It didn't seem to exist in any space. Many elders stopped and didn't dare to enter. Chapter 53-35. Only members of the Gu family could enter the Void Palace. It was very mysterious inside. There was a statue of the Void Emperor. There were also various information left behind by the Void Emperor, as well as various scrolls and cultivation techniques left behind by the previous clan leaders. In short, it contained the supreme secret of the Void Emperor's clan. At this moment, the Gu family had arrived at the Void Palace. He kept searching the bookshelves, searching one scroll after another. Suddenly, he stopped with a blue scroll in his hand. Then he carefully opened it. This scroll was left behind by the Void Emperor himself. It carried a vast emperor's aura. Ordinary sacred clans couldn't read it at all. However, the Gu family had the bloodline of the Void Emperor. At this moment, the palace master used his bloodline with all his strength and dripped his sacred blood on the scroll. The terrifying emperor's aura on it disappeared. The Gu family leader hurriedly opened the scroll and read it carefully. In the next moment, his hands began to tremble. An undying and indestructible existence? Damn it, this legend was actually true. Legend had it that the Void Emperor had once entered Mount Eternal. When he came out, he opened up a territory near Mount Eternal. He also left behind a Void Emperor-level formation here. He said that his descendants could reproduce here in the future. As for what the Void Emperor obtained from Mount Eternal, what happened? No one knew. However, the Void Emperor left behind a scroll in his later years. Only the previous clan leaders could read it. The information recorded in the scroll was that there were living creatures in Mount Eternal. The Void Emperor described the creatures in Mount Eternal as immortal and indestructible. This shocked the previous clan leaders. Immortal and indestructible. Was there really someone who could do it? And now, there were actually people who came out of Mount Eternal. And it was a group of people. Were these people all immortal and indestructible? The Gu family leader couldn't believe it. But no matter what, he knew that an earth-shattering change had taken place in Mount Eternal. He frowned. Could it be related to the dragon transformation battle? But in the previous dragon transformation battle, no one had come out of Mount Eternal. It was really too unbelievable. When Lin Xian and the others arrived, their brows were also tightly knitted. They felt that there was a remnant aura. This aura? Did someone use an extreme weapon? The dark red dragon gasped. Murong Qingqing also frowned. She said that it should be the power of the Void Realm. Could it be that those people had also attacked the Gu family? It was too unbelievable. The Gu clan was a great emperor clan, a supreme existence. As long as they had an extreme Dao weapon, it was impossible for the emperor clan to be destroyed. However, despite this being the case, there was actually someone who dared to attack an emperor clan. This was just too shocking. Young Master Lin, I'm afraid some of us have been suppressed by them. The Longevity Temple Lord frowned. On the other side, the Fire God Palace Master's face turned ugly. Many of us didn't manage to escape in time. Let's go and take a look. Lin Xian and the others continued their journey. At this time they saw a huge black flame in front of them. It formed a cage and danced in the air. There were many figures in the cage. They were the experts from the clans and sects of the Eternal Mountain region. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air when they saw this. This was too terrifying. Who on earth had done this? Lin Xian's eyes shone with a terrifying light. He looked at the cage in front of him. Suddenly he was stunned. He saw a familiar figure. Linglong, the genius of the Fire God Palace. How are you? Are you all right? In the black cage, countless people were in despair. Linglong was the same. Her beautiful eyes had lost their luster. Previously, the Fire God Palace had suddenly suffered an inexplicable attack. Many elders were instantly pierced through. Following that, the force made them despair. The Fire God Palace Master made a prompt decision and asked everyone to escape. Everyone flew in all directions. However, Hualinglong's luck was not good. She was stopped by someone. She was stopped by a group of people. Next, she was sealed in the cage with the other people who had been suppressed. They didn't know what the other party wanted to do. However, it seemed that the other party wanted to bring them into Eternal Mountain. If that was the case, they would probably end up in a miserable state. Eternal Mountain was a forbidden land of death. At this time, a voice rang in Hualinglong's ears. Are you all right? Hualinglong was stunned when she heard the voice. In the next moment, she looked around excitedly. Her eyes had regained their luster. She could tell that it was Lin Xian's voice. Was young Master Lin here? Was he here to save her? She was overjoyed. In the next moment she shook her head. Young Master Lin, you should leave quickly. These people are too terrifying. This has something to do with Eternal Mountain. You can't save me. Indeed, even their palace master didn't dare to resist and immediately escaped. One could imagine how terrifying these people were. Who are they? At this time there was a figure in a black robe near the black cage. In the next moment he turned around. Terrifying flames quickly flew into the distance. The void instantly shattered. It couldn't withstand the force at all. Not good. Young Master Lin, leave quickly. Hualinglong shouted with all her might. Lin Xian's pupils shrank. He had been discovered. He didn't escape. Instead he killed his way out. He clenched his right hand into a fist. His fist turned into a sun as he killed his way out. The black flames were shattered. Flames danced in the sky. The void was pierced through. In the cage, the people inside looked up at the sky. Their faces were filled with shock. Was someone here? Who was it? Too terrifying? Hualinglong was also shocked. Young Master Lin was too powerful. He could actually fight against the creatures of Eternal Mountain. Who are you? The black-robed man who attacked also looked at Lin Xian in shock. His brows were tightly knitted. A young man could actually block his attack. It was too unbelievable. In the next moment, his palms formed a seal again. It formed a black bottle. It charged forward and suppressed you. Lin Xian snorted. His eyes shone with a cold light. He took out the Hellfire Dragon Sword. 9 stars revolved behind him. 9 stars aligned. He slashed out with the sword. The starlight was vast. This sword split heaven and earth. The black flames were also split in half. One of the black-robed man's arms was chopped off. He flew out with a ferocious expression. How could it be? This young man was too terrifying. He could actually injure him. Suddenly his pupils shrank. He realized that the other party had appeared in front of him without him noticing. What fast speed! He saw that this young man had a pair of black wings on his back. He could reach him in an instant with a light flap. In the next moment, the young man in front of him stretched out a finger and pointed at his forehead. He felt as if his body was about to split open. Damn it! With a furious roar, the black-robed man struck out with both palms. There were extremely terrifying black runes on his palms. They spread all over his body. A terrifying force burst out in an instant. As soon as this force appeared, the expressions of the surrounding people changed. Not good. Chapter 53:36. The people in the black cage were also terrified. They looked at Lin Xian. Isn't he going to dodge? Another attack came from the front. A black palm came at Lin Xian. Lin Xian snorted coldly. A sword light appeared in his hand. The Shura sword. This was a sure kill move, a move that came out of nowhere. The sword light disappeared mysteriously as soon as it appeared. When it reappeared, it had already kicked the opponent. With a puff, the person was split in half. The others were stunned when they saw this scene. The people in the cage were also terrified. What kind of sword technique was this? They had all fought with this black-robed man before. So many of them were easily killed by him. It was enough to show how terrifying this black-robed man was. But now, such a frightening person had been slashed apart so easily. It was truly shocking. There's an enemy? Come quickly. In the distance, another 4 black-robed men rushed out. They attacked in a frenzy. Lin Xian slashed out with his sword. Starlight filled the sky and attacked the black cage. The sword chi tore the black cage apart. Hua Linglong and the others were overjoyed when they saw this scene. They quickly ran away. They quickly attacked and blasted open the cage, then rushed out to kill their way out. Suppress them. Don't let any of them go. The 4 black-robed men stretched out their hands. Black flames filled the sky and formed an even more terrifying cage. It covered the sky and earth and sealed the entire world. Even Lin Xian was sealed within. The rest of the people were in despair. They all looked at Lin Xian. He was the only one who could resist. Lin Xian snorted. He retracted his fist and punched out with the terrifying demon god fist. It swept in all directions. The cage was shattered. Then he walked out again. The Shura sword technique kept reaping. 4 heads flew. 2 of their souls were destroyed and 1 of them was torn apart. The last person escaped quickly. That person roared at the sky and drew a black beam of light that pierced through the sky. At the same time, a terrifying aura came from Mount Eternal in the distance. Another figure appeared. This time the one walking in front was a demonic man. He carried a black saber on his back and wore black armor as he strode through the air. The moment he appeared, he let out a cold shout. A mysterious rune appeared between his brows and spread out in all directions. The people who had died earlier had recovered once again. Their faces were pale as they knelt on one knee. Greetings to the 7th emissary, we did not do our job well, please punish us. Get up, the devilish black-armored man said coldly. At the same time, he raised his head and looked ahead, his eyes flashing with a mysterious light. Kneel down and submit, or I'll make sure you die a horrible death. Feeling the terrifying aura from the other party, the people at the front felt their scalps go numb. Linglonghua said. What makes you think you can suppress us? Number 7 narrowed his eyes as he looked ahead. A rose with thorns? Very well, I won't kill you later. I'll bring you back. As for the others, they could all go to hell. With a wave of his hand, a black saber appeared on his back and he slashed forward. Before the saber arrived, the bodies of the people in front had already cracked. The saber was too terrifying. Even if all of them worked together, they would not be able to resist it. This powerhouse from Mount Eternal was too terrifying. Lin Xian's face was even gloomier as he also struck out with his sword. 9 stars alignment. The saber and sword collided, and cracks appeared between heaven and earth. Sparks danced in the air as the two retreated. Lin Xian was surprised that the other party could block his sword technique. It was really unbelievable. Although the 9 stars alignment was not a great emperor's ability, it was a self-created ability that was most suitable for him. Ordinary sacred ancestors could not block it, but the other party did. Was this a powerhouse from Mount Eternal? He was indeed strong. On the other side, the seventh emissary was even more shocked. One had to know his identity. He was someone who had walked out of the forbidden land of death. He was an expert who had been personally nurtured by a super powerhouse and grew up. In his opinion, as long as he walked out, he would be able to sweep away everything. The people outside were no match for him at all. But now, as soon as he walked out of Mount Eternal, he met a person who could contend with him. Moreover, the other party was also young, which really shocked him. "Who are you?" He stared at Lin Xian and asked coldly. Lin Xian said, "Who are you? What's the situation at Mount Eternal? Tell him in detail." The seventh emissary snorted coldly, "Who do you think you are? How dare you ask me?" Lin Xian laughed, "Then who do you think you are? You don't deserve to know my name?" Damn it, the seventh emissary was completely enraged, and his black saber danced again. It turned into a black stream of light and descended from the sky. The terrifying power shook the sky. Lin Xian strode forward. In his hand, starlight condensed and turned into a starry divine sword. It danced forward. The starlight in the sky was incomparably vast. The two collided, shaking the blood of everyone. At this moment, Lin Xian formed a seal with his palm, and the phantom of a demon god appeared. A black seal enveloped heaven and earth. It slapped forward. With a loud bang, the black saber was hit and it started shaking non-stop. The black-robed men behind also exclaimed, "Lord Emissary, be careful. This kid is very powerful." "Shut up, don't I know? Or are you looking down on me?" The seventh emissary shouted coldly, and the people behind him were so scared that their scalps went numb. The emissary roared and attacked again. He was like a flickering light and a passing shadow. In an instant he charged out and arrived in front of Lin Xian. "Go to hell." He slashed at his opponent with his saber and punched out at the same time. Lin Xian sneered. Sword chi swept across and blocked the opponent's saber light. As for the opponent's fist, he also punched out. The golden fist illuminated heaven and earth, and the seventh emissary was forced back, his blood boiling. What a strong physique. His face was full of shock. What's wrong with this person? Not only was his sword technique powerful, but his physique was also so terrifying. Damn it, are the people outside so powerful? Impossible. Previously he had received news that they could sweep the world when they went out. One had to know that their Mount Eternal had been known as the Forbidden Land of Death for all these years, and outsiders could not enter. But there was a force inside. There was a supreme existence in Mount Eternal, and there was also a group of creatures under him. After these creatures went out, they could become the overlords of a region. And among these creatures, another 10 people appeared, and they were divided into 10 emissaries. Each of them was an earth-shattering figure. The person in front of him was the seventh emissary, and his strength was even more terrifying. So when he came out, he did not put anyone in his eyes. But now he was really shocked. The black-robed men behind him were also frightened. No wonder the other party could kill him so easily. Even the seventh emissary seemed to be helpless against him. Seeing this scene, the black-robed men behind him also formed seals. At the same time, a few more figures rushed out from Mount Eternal. These were all extremely terrifying divine ancestors. Behind them, the Fire God Palace Master, the Temple Master of Longevity, and the others also attacked. They fought with the 3 new divine clans of Mount Eternal. Chapter 53-37. While Lin Xian was confronting the other party, Hua Linglong said, "Young Master Lin, Shengguan Shaoxian has been captured by them. You must save her." Lin Xian frowned. Shengguan Shaoxian was his junior sister in Wushuang City. How could she be captured? Hua Linglong said, "Shengguan came here to look for me, but she did not expect to encounter such a situation." Hearing this, Lin Xian nodded. He turned his head and looked forward. "Did you capture a girl called Shengguan Shaoxian? Hand her over. I can spare your lives." "Kid, you think you can threaten me? You still want to threaten me? Watch me kill you today." He attacked again, holding his saber with both hands and slashing it down. A terrifying saber radiance shot out in an instant. The power of this slash was even more terrifying than before. The black-robed man was really angry. Although he did not know who Lin Xian was, he would not allow anyone stronger than him to exist. In fact, he was unlucky. With the strength of the seventh emissary, he could defeat everyone. His opponent was definitely at the level of the Double Crown champion. Unfortunately, Lin Xian was also more terrifying. He had even killed the Double Crown champion. Therefore, the seventh emissary was so depressed that he vomited blood. Lin Xian felt the saber radiance coming at him. His face turned cold and he slashed out with his sword. The sword Qi carried the power of the great dragon sword soul. It was indestructible. It turned into a giant dragon, bearing its fangs and claws between heaven and earth. Boom! The sword finally shattered the saber radiance. At the same time it continued forward. The dragon roared into the sky, shaking the entire area. The seventh emissary's pupils shrank. What a powerful sword Qi! He quickly retreated. However, he was still hit by the sword. Half of his body turned into a mist of blood. He retreated with a pale face. His broken body healed instantly. There was a crack in the process that was difficult to heal. This was the power of indestructible. However, the seventh emissary also carried the power of immortality. Therefore, the crack was finally repaired. However, it consumed too much of his energy. His face turned cold. There's something wrong with your swordsmanship. Lin Xian was also surprised. The power of Mount Eternal was too strange. It could even contend with the power of the great dragon sword soul. But so what? He could tell that he had the upper hand in this battle. That was why he said, "You're no match for me. Hand her over or I'll send you to hell today." Lin Xian attacked again. He struck out with his palm, and an extremely terrifying yin-yang diagram appeared in the sky. They transformed into yin and yang gods. Their divine bottles were ice cold, and they carried a terrifying aura and terrifying energy as they charged forward. Get lost. The seventh emissary roared angrily. He raised his hand and unleashed two black mountains to resist the yin-yang god. At the same time he gritted his teeth. Kid, just you wait. I still have a mission to complete this time. The next time I see you I won't let you off. Let's go. With that he turned around and left. Did he want to leave? Lin Xian bellowed. Another sword flew out. The Azura sword skill complemented the Shadowless Heaven's net movement skill to the extreme. In the blink of an eye, he arrived beside the seventh envoy and thrust his sword toward the seventh envoy's head. The seventh envoy's scalp went numb, and the space between his eyebrows split open. The other party actually knew such a powerful assassination technique. In a panic he raised his saber to block. With a clang, the saber was sent flying and he spat out blood as he flew backward. Brr. His eyes were bloodshot and he let out a terrifying roar. Kill. He was really angry. However, at that moment, a cold snort came from Mount Eternal in the distance. Then, a huge black hand spanned millions of miles across the sky and instantly slapped toward Lin Xian. The place where Lin Xian was completely shattered. Countless people were shocked. They were all sent flying by the power. Young Master Lin. Wu Linglong and the others exclaimed. Behind them Lin Xian appeared. He had a void beast beside him. Lin Xian's face was cold, but the people around him heaved a sigh of relief. Young Master Lin, you're fine? That's great. Lin Xian looked in front of him. The huge black hand had disappeared, and his expression was solemn. This power was enough to threaten him, and it was also an extremely terrifying existence in the sage ancestor. How many living beings were there in Mount Eternal? With the appearance of the huge black hand, the sacred lords of Mount Eternal in the sky also returned. The Fire God Palace Master and the Eternal Life Temple Master returned, and their expressions were extremely solemn. These people are too terrifying and there are many of them. We can't suppress them at all. Lin Xian's expression was also cold. Did they know where these people came from? Those people shook their heads. Lin Xian's expression was solemn. It seemed that he could only ask the others. He asked the Yi family. After all, the Yi family was an emperor family and they definitely knew more than them. The elders of the Yi family sent them news. Young Master Lin, Mount Eternal was a supreme existence and it was a super terrifying existence. This time there were living beings coming out of Mount Eternal. They should be here to participate in the dragon transformation battle. Lin Xian was also surprised after hearing this. Soon, he had a better understanding of the dragon transformation battle. It was a battle that occurred once every 10,000 years. Countless giants and terrifying sacred lords would participate. This time, Mount Eternal should be here for the dragon transformation battle. As for Mount Eternal, it was an even more terrifying supreme existence. The Yi family didn't mention it as if they were afraid of something. Lin Xian was even more surprised. To be able to make a great emperor family fearful. Mount Eternal was really too mysterious. Mount Eternal was known as the Forbidden Land of Death, but it wasn't the only forbidden land. Were there other living beings in the other forbidden lands of death? He realized that there were still many secrets in this world. Even now he couldn't see through all of them. But no matter what, he had to save Shangguan Shaoxian. If Shangguan Shaoxian was injured, Lin Xian would definitely not let Mount Eternal go. On the other side, Mount Eternal was a land of death. A group of people returned. The seventh emissary's expression was extremely cold. In the depths of Mount Eternal, people from the outside couldn't enter this place at all. There were countless palaces here. The seventh emissary walked into the Black Palace and roared crazily. The others stood there like statues. The seventh emissary gritted his teeth and said, "Was there a person called Shangguan Shaoxian among the people who were captured? Bring her here." Soon the people below brought a woman over. Reporting to the seventh emissary, "She is Shangguan Shaoxian." The seventh emissary raised his head and looked ahead. What a beautiful woman. No wonder someone wanted to save you. Shangguan Xiaoxian's expression changed when she heard this. Who came to save her? Wushuang City? Fu Hongye and the others? Or Senior Lin Xian? What about them? Were they suppressed? She didn't know any of this. Don't worry, I won't kill you now because I want to keep you alive. When I meet that guy again, I'll kill you in front of him. I'll make you suffer a fate worse than death. The seventh emissary revealed a sinister smile. Shangguan Shaoxian snorted coldly. Dream on. You'll never be able to defeat my Senior Lin. Chapter 53-38. Young Supreme Being. The seventh messenger was furious. Who does he think he is? Does he deserve to be called a Supreme Being? He does not deserve to be called a Supreme Being. Only those from Mount Eternal deserve to be called a Supreme Being. As he spoke, he slapped Shangguan Shaoxian twice in the face. Shangguan Shaoxian's mouth was bleeding, but she gritted her teeth. You are no match for Senior Brother Lin. The seventh messenger's face turned cold. Are you challenging me? Looks like I have to send you to hell in advance. A terrifying murderous aura emerged from his body. Shangguan Xiaoxian's face was filled with despair. Am I going to die here? However, at this moment, outside the main hall, a person flew in. Report. The Grand Elder is calling for you. He said that there is something important for you to go over. The Grand Elder? The seventh messenger frowned. He looked at Shangguan Shaoxian and sneered. You are lucky. Take her away. He waved his hand and took Shangguan Shaoxian away. At the same time, he flew into the distance. The Great Elder's summon was definitely something extremely terrifying. In the deepest part of Mount Eternal, it was extremely dark. The aura of immortality was even more terrifying. There were dozens of figures standing around. Some of them were old men in black robes and 9 of them were wearing armor. They looked extremely serious. Together with the seventh messenger, they were the 10 great messengers. At this moment, the messengers were looking forward respectfully. The same went for the elders. There was an old man at the front. He was the Grand Elder. He said respectfully. Reporting to the Supreme Being, everyone is here. No one said anything, but a black stone tablet flew out of it. On the steel there were many mysterious runes. At this moment, the runes enlarged in the wind and flew out with black flames. They turned into runes and danced in the sky. Then they sank into the space between the eyebrows of the messengers. The messengers' faces changed. They looked ferocious. The pain was so intense that their souls were torn apart. However, no one resisted. When the runes disappeared and the space between their eyebrows healed, they all knelt on the ground and kowtowed. Thank you, Supreme Being. They were extremely sincere. The black stone tablet slowly disappeared. The Grand Elder stood up and turned around. The Supreme Being has given us the Immortality Talisman. You must comprehend it well. Soon you will participate in the Dragon Transformation battle. This time you must get first place and bring that thing back. Yes, Great Elder, don't worry. We definitely won't disappoint the Sovereign. These people stood up, especially the 10 emissaries. They all clenched their fists. Their Mount Eternal had always been mysterious and very few creatures came out. The others couldn't even enter. Now was the time for them to go out and display their strength. They wanted the world to feel fear. In the following period of time, these people began to move out. They walked out of Mount Eternal and didn't destroy those sections. Previously, they had suppressed the people of the surrounding sections. Firstly, it was to warn them of the Eternal Mountain region. They came out. Moreover, they also needed some slaves and battle servants, and they had enough people now. Next, they would carry out another plan, which was to fight. They wanted to rise in the starry sky in the shortest time possible and strike fear into everyone's hearts. Next, the remote antiquity families, great sects, top geniuses, and terrifying experts were all challenged. However, without exception, all of them were defeated. These black-robed figures were terrifying. Even if they were injured, they could recover quickly. It was as if they were undying existences. They were no match for him at all. The Wind Clan was defeated, the Stone Clan was defeated, the 9 Underworld sect was defeated, and the Golden Crow clan was also defeated. In an instant, the world was in an uproar. The news instantly spread throughout the buried Emperor Star. Countless people were alarmed. They now knew that there were experts coming out of Mount Eternal. Moreover, there were quite a few of them. Damn it, how was this possible? Who were these people? How could they live in Mount Eternal? Countless doubtful voices rang out. They even felt that this was a dream. However, things were really happening. More and more experts were defeated. In the end, even the geniuses and elders of the Emperor clan began to be defeated. 3 months later, a voice came from Mount Eternal. Was there no one in the outside world who could fight? How disappointing. In that case, you are not qualified to participate in the dragon transformation battle. Damn it, how dare you look down on us? The people of the buried Emperor Star were furious. In the starry sky of the universe, they were existences that could sweep through everything. On this planet, there were countless remote antiquity families and emperor clans. Who dared to look down on them? However, these people from Mount Eternal actually said that no one dared to fight. Damn it. However, everyone was still in despair because these people from Mount Eternal were too terrifying. Moreover, they were decisive. Once they were defeated, it was very likely that they would die. Until now, no one had been able to contend against them. Some people even discovered that among the experts from Mount Eternal, a few of them had the strength of a double crown king. What kind of concept was that? Everyone was in despair. They had gone too far. This time, the people from the Emperor clan could not tolerate it. The Gu clan, Kunpeng clan, Qilin clan, and Yi clan began to discuss. They decided that they must accept the challenge. Otherwise, they would lose all their face. With the Emperor clan taking the lead, they joined forces with the remote antiquity families and the peerless sects to gather these people together for a martial arts exchange. It was considered a warm-up match before the dragon transformation battle. After all, this matter was being watched by all the realms in the universe. If even the Emperor clan couldn't do it, then there was no hope for the others. A month later, the martial arts exchange began. The people from the Emperor clan also replied. For a moment, countless people were in an uproar. They all set off to go. The Emperor clan joined forces? So what? We are not afraid of the Emperor clan at all. The people from Mount Eternal sneered. There were no more great emperors in the world now. Moreover, there were definitely people from the Emperor clan who knew about the situation of Mount Eternal. Therefore, they probably did not dare to use extreme weapons. Without such a threat, Mount Eternal was really not afraid of the other people. The Great Elder looked into the distance and sneered. So what if they are from the Emperor clan? The great emperors are long gone, but our human sovereigns still exist. This universe still belongs to us in the end. Children, go, let them know the power of Mount Eternal. The corners of the 10 emissaries' mouths curled up. The Great Elder could rest assured that there was no suspense in this battle. We will let them feel despair. We will shatter their Tao hearts. One voice after another sounded. The 7th emissary once again said that he would take Shangguan Shaoxian with him. If they did not want the other party to die, they had to show themselves quickly. When these words came out, many people were surprised. Who was Shangguan Shaoxian? However, the expressions of the people from the Divine Union changed. Shangguan Shaoxian had indeed been taken away by the other party. Damn it. After Lin Xian heard this, his expression turned even colder, threatening him. Chapter 53-39. The Origin magnetic immortal platforms also received the news. They sucked in a breath of cold air. Even Yao Guang was surprised. Someone from the Forbidden Lands of Death came out? This world was too unbelievable. 9th Firmament Quasi-Emperor snorted. It was actually the Undying Mountain. He said to Yao Guang, "Didn't you always want to know where that place is? Are you talking about the Undying Mountain?" Yao Guang was also surprised. 9th Firmament Quasi-Emperor nodded. It was just one of them. He didn't expect them to come out this time. Yao Guang was even more shocked. The 3 Undying Mountains were one of them. Could it be that there were also terrifying existences in the other Forbidden Lands of Death? But they hadn't appeared yet? Thinking of this possibility, it was even more shocked. Who exactly were the people in these Forbidden Lands of Death? 9th Firmament Quasi-Emperor said. They were very terrifying people. Yao Guang was surprised. A Quasi-Emperor said that they were terrifying. How terrifying was that? Could it be a great emperor? He didn't dare to think further. 9th Firmament Quasi-Emperor said, "You don't have to think too much. Just prepare in peace." The Undying Mountain must have come for the first place this time. A month's time quickly passed. Everyone rushed to the agreed place. It was an incomparably vast mountain range. It was like a huge dragon entrenched there. This place was neither far nor close to the Undying Mountain. It was a place agreed upon by both sides. At this moment, many people had already arrived on the mountain peaks of the mountain range. They were all waiting. They didn't know how exciting the battle would be this time. At this moment, flames appeared in the sky. Countless people looked up at the sky. It was as if 100,000 suns had descended. It was the Golden Crow clan. They looked up one after another. It was indeed the Golden Crow clan that had come. These people displayed powerful flames. After they arrived, they occupied this mountain range. The Golden Crow clan's faces were cold. They had been challenged by the Undying Mountain before. Moreover, a few geniuses were killed. Not only was it a slap to their face, but it also caused them to suffer heavy losses. This time they had a chance to fight back. Yes, they would fight back. In addition, the other ancient families and peerless sects had also arrived. The Origin magnetic immortal platforms had also arrived. They had extremely terrifying power. After arriving, countless people looked up to them. Suddenly, someone exclaimed, "Look, that young man is standing beside the Origin magnetic palace master." Countless people looked over. Wasn't that Yao? Why was he there? Could it be that he had joined forces with the Origin magnetic immortal foundation? Cries of surprise rang out one after another. When it came to the light-shaking realm, no one dared to be careless. A person who cultivated the demonic heaven-devouring art was a threat to everyone. For such a person, the Origin magnetic immortal foundation should have stayed far away from him. Why are they standing together? Could it be that they had reached some kind of agreement? They didn't know. Some people went over to chat with him, trying to find out more about him. In the end, nothing was found. At this moment, there were countless black flames dancing in the distance, as if a black phoenix was descending from the sky. There were quite a few figures standing on it. They were all black-clothed people. They were either dressed in black robes or black armor. Their expressions were cold, and their bodies were filled with an inextinguishable fighting spirit. Tsang Tian was the spirit of Mount Eternal. They're here. Countless cries of surprise rang out as pairs of eyes looked forward. They had heard of the creatures of Mount Eternal before, but this was the first time most of them had seen them. Lin Xian and the others had also arrived. At this moment they also looked towards the sky. Lin Xian also narrowed his eyes. The creatures of Mount Eternal walked out and looked in all directions. Are you all here? I haven't seen you for tens of thousands of years, and you've already fallen to such a state? Even if you join forces, you're still no match for us. If it weren't for some reason that we couldn't come out, this world would have been ours. Arrogant words rang out, causing the people of the great clans to frown. These people were too arrogant. But in the next moment, their pupils shrank because they realized that the other party was indeed qualified to be arrogant. The creatures of Mount Eternal emitted an extremely terrifying aura that swept in all directions. The surrounding people were shaken to the point of retreating, their blood boiling. An uproar rang out and their faces were filled with horror. The people from Mount Eternal sneered. Among them there was a man in armor standing at the front. The corners of his mouth curled up into a cold smile. Behind him was a woman in a long dress. The woman was naturally Shangguan Shaoxian. At this moment, her face was pale because she couldn't resist the power of the people around her. She didn't know if senior brother Lin was here. Could he fight against these people? Beside her, a man in armor walked over. This man. He had a black warhammer on his back. He strode over and said coldly, "Who wants to fight me?" This was the 10th emissary of Mount Eternal. He was tall and strong. Seeing that it was a young man, some of the older clan leaders were too embarrassed to fight. A young man walked out from the Yi family. He wasn't Yi Wudao, but he also had an extremely terrifying bloodline. The Yi family was a great emperor clan, and Emperor Yi had left behind many supreme techniques. Among them was a technique called the celestial body tempering art. Many people in the Yi family had cultivated this body tempering art. The man who walked out was called Yi Quebec. He had already cultivated the celestial body tempering art to a certain level, and his physique was extremely terrifying. "I'll fight you." Yi K stepped forward, and as he did, the mountains below and the sky above began to shake violently. The 10th emissary looked at him and smiled. "You can make the first move. Otherwise you won't have a chance." "Okay, then I won't be polite." "God Yi K, please be serious." With a roar, he used the celestial body tempering art to the extreme. An illusion appeared around him and then he punched out. Celestial body immortal fist. Boundless gang chi revolved around his fists, as if a merciless god had descended. This punch was so terrifying that it made countless people exclaim. As expected of a great emperor clan. Other than Yi Wudao, there were other powerful experts. Boom. In the face of such a terrifying attack, the 10th emissary didn't move at all. He had no intention of running away. He formed a seal with his palm and a black mountain condensed. He threw it out and an earth-shattering sound rang out. It collided with the celestial body Immortal Fist. Terrifying laws spread out in all directions. At the same time, cracks appeared on the celestial body Immortal Fist. Ye roared, "Block it for me." He used his bloodline and body-tempering art to the extreme. The hammer on the 10th emissary's back flew over. The black war hammer swept through the air with vast power and directly sent Ye flying. Boom. Ye retreated and spat out blood. His body was shattered into pieces. His celestial body-tempering art was broken. How could he lose? He was defeated in one move. Chapter 5340. The Yi family was well aware of how terrifying the celestial body-tempering art was. Ye had cultivated it to an extremely high level, so his physique was definitely incomparably strong. But now it had been torn apart by a single blow. They couldn't believe it. The surrounding people were also shocked. The other emperor clans and sacred clans all frowned. This power was too strong. Why did it feel like it had surpassed the young giants? They knew that Mount Eternal was strong, but they felt that it would take at least a few hundred moves to determine the outcome. But now the outcome had been decided in 2 simple moves. On the Divine Union's side, the dark red Divine Dragon was also shocked. Lin Xian also frowned. Was this the power of Mount Eternal? It was indeed strong. On the other side, Yao Guang and the others were also frowning. Some of the emperors felt despair. What shocked them even more was that this person was wearing armor, and there were 9 others wearing the same armor as him. However, their weapons were different. In other words, the strength of the other 9 people was on par with the other party, or even slightly stronger. How could such a terrifying expert appear in Mount Eternal? It was unbelievable. How did they cultivate this? What kind of existence was behind Mount Eternal? On the other hand, the people from Mount Eternal were very confident and calm. This battle was completely within their expectations. So what if they were from the Emperor clans? The great Emperor was long gone and had disappeared for tens of thousands of years. How could the remaining people compare to them by relying on the great Emperor's ancient scriptures and some bloodlines? Their Mount Eternal had human sovereigns. If it weren't for some reasons, this world would have been theirs long ago. Even the great Emperor clans couldn't compete with them. This era was the legendary Great Emperor era. Some people even said that it was the legendary Great Immortal era. Therefore, in this era, Mount Eternal had come out. How was it? Were they confident? The people from the Kunpeng clan asked. Kunpeng Zi shook his head. The people from the Fire Qilin cave also asked. The Fire Qilin had a solemn expression. If it was just this person, I would be confident. However, it wouldn't be easy to defeat him. At least after 1,000 moves. However, there are 9 people behind him, so I'm not so sure. Sure enough, even the double crown champion said so. The others were even more desperate. At this moment, the 10th emissary at the front sneered. How disappointing. No one could fight. Were all the great emperor clans trash? I heard that there are a few emperors in this world. Who are they? Are they all cowards now? No one dared to come out. Countless people were in an uproar. The other party directly challenged an emperor clan, and even challenged an emperor child. This was a direct slap to the face. Would the people from the emperor clans resist? They all looked at the princes. The Fire Qilin snorted coldly but didn't attack. As the double champion, he had already proven his strength. Moreover, he was a cautious person and liked to play dirty, so he was not willing to take risks easily. The Dragon Prince was already dead and the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty had Long Wu. Although she was also very powerful, she was still not the double champion. Therefore she was not confident. Kunpeng Zi's expression was extremely ugly. Damn it, they actually dared to underestimate him. He took a step forward and walked forward. However, the elders beside him said, "Your Highness, you mustn't." In front, the 10th envoy looked over. "Oh, you're the Emperor's son of the Kunpeng clan. Do you want to fight with me?" No, those elders shook their heads. The 10th emissary sneered. "Even your family members don't think highly of you. I think you'd better scram back." Damn it. Kunpeng Zi gritted his teeth. He clenched his fists and his body trembled with anger. He turned around and said to those elders, "Let me attack. I'd rather die in battle. I don't want to live so sullenly." The elders of the Kunpeng clan didn't say anything else. They looked at Kunpeng Zi's back as he walked into the distance and took a deep breath. They knew that the emperor had his own pride. Previously, Kunpeng Zi was an existence that stood above the 9 heavens and stood above everything. But later, top geniuses appeared one after another. First it was Lin Xian. Then people like the Fire Qilin, Han Tian and Yao Guang appeared. Now the creatures of Mount Eternal had appeared. These people were too powerful. Kun Pingzi had already fallen behind. If he was still afraid at this time, he would probably never be able to catch up. All we can do is believe in His Highness. The elders' eyes flickered. They knew that this battle was very dangerous. It was very likely that Kun Peng would be defeated. However, this battle had to be fought. This was the sorrow of being emperor. They had too many halos on them and were the focus of countless people. If they retreated at this time, they would probably never be able to raise their heads. And once they fought, the consequences would be very terrifying. At this time, the old Kun Peng of the Kun Peng clan said, the emperor's bloodline was his powerful foundation, his reliance, and also his shackles. It depended on whether His Highness could break these shackles. In front, the 10th emissary saw Kun Pengzi and laughed. You're quite brave. Unfortunately, you're all brawn and no brains. You're no match for me. You should attack first or you won't have a chance. It was the same arrogant words, but no one dared to be careless. Last time, the other party had easily defeated the heavenly spirit body tempering art. Kun Pengzi also shouted angrily. His black hair danced wildly and his eyes were like lightning. At this moment, he turned into a yin-yang light and flew in all directions. At this moment, he didn't hold back at all. He punched out, and on it there was the phantom of a Kun Peng. The mighty power shook the world. What a terrifying emperor's bloodline! Countless people exclaimed. The 10th emissary's eyes also lit up. You have such a bloodline, but you're so weak. If you gave me your bloodline, I would definitely be 10 times stronger than you. Go. With a roar, he also charged over. His fist seemed to have turned into a black mountain range as heavy as a mountain. The two collided with each other, shattering everything. Kun Pengzi instantly vomited blood and flew out. He felt that the other party's fist was like Mount Eternal that could suppress everything. The inextinguishable fighting spirit on it made him feel terrified. Every move of the other party carried the power of Mount Eternal. This was the power of the forbidden land of death. Fortunately, he had the Emperor's bloodline and could resist some of it. Otherwise, he would end up like Yi Kei and be blasted into pieces with a single move. But even so, he was still suppressed. He vomited blood and flew out. He was injured again. Countless people exclaimed. Even the Emperor's son was going to be defeated in one move? No, Kun Pengzi hadn't been defeated yet. Look, he rushed over again. Everyone found that Kun Pengzi stopped retreating. He stomped his foot, shattering the world, and charged forward again. At this moment, Kun Pengzi transformed into a Kun Peng. It surrounded the world. This was Kun Pengzi's original body. It was too terrifying. The yin-yang aura descended, turning into yin-yang wings that slashed down from the sky like heavenly blades. The surrounding people retreated. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.